The Ohio Chapter International Society of Arboriculture is committed to advancing responsible tree care practices while preventing a fungal disease called oak wilt. They remind those who own and manage oak trees the best time to prune is November to early March. To find out more, there are over 1,000 qualified tree experts in Ohio. To find an ISA-certified arborist in your area, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What are the advantages of shopping at Chevrolet of Troy? Selection has never been better, with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority. We care about you, with thousands off MSRP, a full-service state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop today. 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletOfTroy.com.
Menards is your home improvement destination. We've got everything you need for your projects, from ceiling to floor. Why settle for a boring ceiling when there's so many acoustic and decorative options? Armstrong ceiling tiles are the best way to elevate your style to new heights. They're easy to install and add a great new look to your home. Right now, save big money on ceiling tiles. Plus, check out all the great deals going on now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Live on 1410 Wing AM, live on the ESPN Dayton and Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, and, of course, on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome in.
Brr, it's cold outside.
Brr, it's all good.
In the hood. What up, though?
Love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday. But anyways, off and rolling here on a Wednesday. Excited for today's show. ESPN Radio's Jay Williams. He's going to be joining us, of course. Played his college basketball days at Duke, drafted by the Chicago Bulls, and spends his mornings, well, with all of you here on 1410 ESPN Radio and across ESPN Radio and TV platforms, of course, on Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max. And we'll be talking with him. A little bit of Super Bowl stuff, of course. And then, of course, the news that broke earlier today, a year ago today, Tom Brady retired. And guess what? A year later, he retired again. But yes, the news that it was a much different this time. I remember last year when he announced his retirement, Kev, it was kind of a celebration of Tom Brady. Today, it almost seems like we're mourning the loss of Tom Brady. It's a very odd vibe in the differences of how this retirement's coming about. But I think the one difference is Tom Brady seemed he didn't seem human a year ago when he retired, and it didn't seem real that he was retired. I think, he's more vulnerable now. I think he showed a human side that, yes, even Tom Brady goes through some very tough things in life, going through the divorce. I'm not sure what it is, but you listen to all the shows and it almost feels like Tom Brady has passed and we're mourning the loss of Tom Brady. It's so strange. But it definitely has a different vibe and feel this time. Tom Brady's legendary career. He calls it a career, of course. And he's 2023. There will be no Tom Brady in the NFL, or will there? You never know.
No, for me, I heard an announcement. You actually hit me up. You text me and showed me. And it's like, whoa, snap. As I'm getting ready to come into the building. So I was like, well, that puts a change on today's show. But the first thing that I saw on ESPN was kind of like, oh, man, Tom Brady's retiring. You know why it is? Because everybody used up all their good stuff last year when he retired. And then when I finally got a chance to watch his video, he's like, you're allowed one of these things with the cool graphics, and thank you to all the fans and everything like that. I'm going to just get on here and be real and do it in the video format, because he used his official retirement thing last year and then decided to come back. So I think that's the feel of it. I think people are just like, all right, man, we gave you all the love and the feels. Now just basically trying to reminisce on your career.
Yeah, the vibe I get too watching that video, and by the way, we were going to have the audio for it, but I'm pretty sure if you've had Wing on at all today or have been watching any ESPN, or forget ESPN, just sports in general, that clip has been played like a bajillion times at this point. But what I find fascinating about it, Kev, is like last year when he announced it, it was like, again, the reaction was a celebration of the career of Tom Brady. But you couldn't tell, how for sure he was, but like he seemed more content with it last year. This year just seems more defeated. He seems defeated. It just seems like he's done with football mentally. I mean, that was more of an emotional goodbye, but it does stink because I think he deserves more of the going off with the celebration. Today is not but that's his fault because he did the retiring thing and then came back and obviously had all the family issues. But nonetheless, this one does feel for real.
Yeah.
I do not think we'll see Tom Brady back in the National Football League.
Yeah. That's one of those things, man. Like you talked about it earlier, him feeling like a real person, dealing with a divorce. So many people deal with that in their lives, parents getting older. And even him through the season looks like he was losing weight. So it's like, oh man, he's really going through the blues. And I was on these airwaves saying this season is going to end one or two ways. It's going to end in the greatest story ever written, another Disney movie about Tom Brady and another miracle victory winning the Super Bowl, or it's going to end a disaster. Now, it wasn't so much a disaster. His team did make the playoffs, but they did have a losing record, and no one out there could say this is Tom Brady's best season. So I think it's right for him to ride off into the sunset. This will just be in the cliff notes of his career. It'll all be about the championships he's won, all the lives he's touched. And, he's going to go into the broadcasting booth and probably make more money there than he did in his NFL playing career.
Yeah, and actually the closing to his career kind of reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger's a little bit. It's like, I still think if Tom Brady can go back and do it again, he would have retired after hoisting up that Super Bowl. But to be honest, I actually remember that time. It's easy for me to say that, but at that time, there was no signs of the Bucs slowing down. In fact, I mean, they got it kind of rolling again. I mean, if you remember, they came roaring back and almost knocked off the Rams to get to the NFC Championship game last year, where they would have most likely been the favorites against the San Francisco 49ers again and had a chance to get back. So, but I felt like when the game ended last year, I was like, that was Tom Brady go out that moment. At least you'll be remembered, that magical comeback that fell just short, but at least we'll have that lasting memory. Like, I think this season, if he can go back, he would have definitely not have come back out of retirement or whatever, or maybe would have retired after that last Super Bowl with Tampa 2 years ago when they knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. So nonetheless, he calls it a career, but I said it reminds me of, Big Ben calling it a career because it just the way they went out in the playoffs, embarrassing. I mean, Big Ben got punched in the mouth in the playoffs. It's not like they lost a shootout or a close one. Right. I mean, he looked like a guy that, he's done. He's done. And then Tom Brady, same thing against the Dallas Cowboys. It just stinks that for both those guys, the legendary careers that they had, those are the lasting memories you have. That's why everyone urges you, go out while you're on top and don't wait till the league pushes you out. But I don't know if that pushed him out, but definitely the opportunities to win in Tampa, I think, definitely kind of derailed that a little bit.
Yeah, for watching Tom Brady this season, he seemed his age. Didn't want to get hit. This is football. You're going to get touched. You're going to get touched a lot. And people are out there trying to hurt you. And the way he was just getting rid of the ball so he wouldn't get touched, chuck it into the dirt, like not stepping up into throws, not hanging there in the pocket to make those long completions and know he's going to have to take a big hit. I think some of that probably got into his head. Like, look, man, it's one thing to be recovering from an injury, getting ready for the next season. It's a different thing to be recovering from an injury and I'm not playing next season. Like, wait a minute. That means I'm not going to be able to spend time with my kids. I'm not going to be able to go golf. Like, that means I'm going to be rehabbing an injury. Nah, man, I'm going to just check this down to the running back. Get this ball out of my hand real fast. I'm not trying to catch no other hits. I'll give it my best effort, but I'm not. It's kind of like myself. As I started to transition out of playing basketball, I felt myself like, all right, I'm not going to the lane as much because I can't come to work with a black eye or a missing tooth. Like, those are the type of things that start going through your head when you get older. You're like, I'll just shoot this jumper. Well, I'm not going to dive on the ground for this loose ball. I'm not going to play no defense. And at that point, you're not playing the game. You're just out there. So that's how I felt about Tom Brady. He really wasn't playing football anymore. He was just out there, doing his thing, staying in shape, but he really wasn't being Tom Brady. So once you're not Tom Brady anymore, it's time to hang it up and go enjoy time with your family.
So with that being said, there was a generation of quarterbacks that I grew up watching, and I always define, like, you hear people say, "Oh, those are the guys I grew up watching." Well, what's the time frame that you delegate towards, I grew up watching? To me, it's not when I was a little kid, because I watched football as a little kid, but you don't emotionally watch it as a 9 and 10-year-old the same way you do as when you get in high school and into college. Right. But the guys I grew up, I mean, like the Tom Brady's, Peyton Manning's, the Drew Brees of the world. I think it's disrespectful to put him up there with that. But he was a very, very good quarterback, of course. Eli Manning, not the most talented, but again, the significance of the 2 Super Bowls and to both come against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and the dramatic catches and plays. Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers. These are the guys that they were the quarterbacks. They were the Joe Burrows and the Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allens. Those and the Dak Prescotts of the world, right? Like, but no, like those were the quarterbacks that, like, when I think of football for me growing up, it was the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's of the world. It was the Ben Roethlisbergers of the world. It was those guys. So that's kind of like when you see guys like this. Like, I was not a Tom Brady fan growing up, but you watched him play. There's guys like that now. You're not fans. By the way, everyone knows I'm not the biggest Joe Burrow guy in the world, but I'm not gonna lie. I've watched as much Joe Burrow as all of the biggest Joe Burrow fans out there. That's football. You know what I mean? Like, you watch. If you're a fan of football, you watch whether you like the players or the teams or not, and that's where I'm at. But for, like, I'm just curious. People's not like when you lose. So I remember in the NBA. Tim Duncan, I couldn't stand the Spurs. For one, they were a boring team to watch, and I didn't appreciate what I was watching. Like, I think everyone can agree. I don't think anyone appreciated Tim Duncan as much as what we should have during his stretch in San Antonio. But nonetheless, I remember when he retired, how bummed I was. Like, that bummed me out because he was one of those NBA players that was a part of my childhood growing up that kind of brought me, when I became a fan of the NBA, and just one of those guys, the Kobe's and the Shaqs and those Laker teams and the Spurs just kept going and going and going. But no, when Tom Brady retired, and he's just a part of that group of guys that I was a fan of throughout my time growing up. So when you see guys like that retire, it's a little, it's kind of sad a little bit. Aaron Rodgers still playing, and I think that's about it. Is Aaron Rodgers the last of that main core group from that mid-2000s to about now?
I think he's it. And I struggle where to put Aaron Rodgers with that, because when I think of the guys that I quote-unquote grew up watching, I think of Big Ben, Steve McNair, Michael Vick. I think of those guys like that made me really fall in love with football. Obviously, Tom Brady. Rodgers is like kind of like in the middle of that. So I was gonna say they're all gone, but I guess Rodgers is the last one left. He's kind of like overlapping, so I guess he's the last one left.
And it's interesting too. We talk about the significance of 2 African American quarterbacks going head to head in the Super Bowl coming up, but names I did not put in there that were a part of it was Donovan McNabb with the Eagles. Hated those Eagles teams, especially when T.O. went there, because as a Cowboys fan at that time, I couldn't stand, Andy Reid, who's one of my favorite head coaches in the league right now. I couldn't stand him growing up. And then Dante Culpepper. I loved with Randy Moss. I loved watching those Vikings teams. That was a fun Minnesota Vikings team stretch to watch, especially back then too, because that was still the Brett Favre versus Dante Culpepper, the Vikings and the Packers. That's still a rivalry today. It just doesn't seem to have as much oomph to it. But yeah, those are the guys I associate my childhood with following football and stuff growing up. But I'm kind of curious. So I put on the Facebook page today. I just said, these were the quarterbacks that I grew up watching in high school and to college, of course. But I said, what group of quarterbacks do you classify as the guys that you grew up watching? Like the era, at a certain point, I'm an adult now. But those are the guys I grew up watching, right? So it's interesting kind of getting some of the different responses. Brian Staley said Marino, Montana, Elway, Kelly, Moon, Aikman, Young. So, what?
Warren Moon,
trying to guess the ages of, not being rude to these. I'm just like, so what? That would be
probably
the 80s into the 90s.
Yeah, he's probably you talking about the listener? He's probably about 45.
45. All right. Yeah. See, Charlie. He says Marino, Montana, Elway. Tim says Marino, Kelly, Elway, Montana. And again, that seems to be the majority of the names kind of coming in. So obviously I'm in that mid-age level. Like, what about you, Kev? What was those guys? Let's guess Kev's age.
Like I said, Michael Vick, Steve McNair, obviously Big Ben. Like, those are the guys like that really stood out for me, that like really made an imprint on me of loving football. It's just like, obviously with Michael Vick, with his ability to break the pocket in his legs, that big game he had against the Green Bay Packers, able to beat them in the playoffs, go on the road. Obviously, me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, us getting Big Ben in the draft. Thank goodness the Cleveland Browns passed up on them so we can land a franchise Hall of Fame quarterback, was able to help us get 2 Super Bowls. So like when I was real young, it was my favorite quarterback was
Roger Staubach.
No, it was John Elway was my favorite quarterback as a young kid, because he wore number 7. He could run, he could throw. I was like, man, this dude is awesome. And then Michael Vick came along and just it's like, oh, he can really run.
So what's interesting, I don't know why. The one game I remember as a kid, because I wasn't a Falcons fan. It's not that I didn't like Michael Vick. But I remember where I was, like, this dramatically. But there never been a team to beat Green Bay at Lambeau Field. Michael Vick was the very first quarterback to ever win on the road in the playoffs at Lambeau Field. I don't know why I remember that game. As a kid, I was like a sixth grader at the time. I remember standing up, watching the end of that game, and just remember the announcers talking about this historic significance. Like when we hear about the up and coming quarterbacks today, Joe Burrow, we just want all the analysts and stuff just obsessed with Joe Burrow because he's new and he's, emerging as a star. I remember that about Michael Vick. I remember that game being talked about, like how historic that was. And I've always remembered the significance of, oh man, it's tough to win on the road, of course, but even it's tough to win at Lambeau, especially in January.
Yeah, you throw on top
playoffs.
of that, they're a dome team. The Falcons are a dome team. They're coming up to Green Bay, Wisconsin in January of 2003, and Michael Vick just has himself a game, not only passing the ball, but rushing the ball as well.
Who's that quarterback that wasn't an elite quarterback that you were just a huge fan of, though? Like, I know people are going to kill me for this one, but Tony Romo. Tony Romo, because Kev, he looked like, and again, hear me out. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not, and he never was. But he would have games where he made you buy in.
Yeah.
And he did that to me a lot. And then he would remind you in the biggest moments. He was, I think, a much better Kirk Cousins. He was a much better version of that, much better Derek Carr, and Derek Carr's good. And Derek Carr's above Cousins. But I don't know, like Tony Romo, maybe it's because I know it's because I was a Cowboys fan. But he was a quarterback I was always a big fan of, just because of that. Like, he wasn't an elite quarterback, but he was a quarterback that I just found very interesting. And I'm trying to think of some others. Someone messaged that into the show.
Another quarterback, speaking on that, this probably isn't fair to him because he won an MVP and helped his team get to a Super Bowl. Rich Gannon.
Oh,
I liked
perfect.
Rich Gannon. I liked Rich Gannon a lot when he was with the Raiders.
You mentioned him a little bit ago with the Titans quarterback. He won the
McNair.
co-MVP with Peyton Manning. Now, he was a very, very good quarterback. He just didn't have the longevity in the league, nonetheless, at least at that level. But yes, like some of the quarterbacks that never played for your team, but that you were very fond of, like McNair was always fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was weird, too, that they did that with Manning and
the dual MVP. Yeah. I didn't like that either.
Every year you could have done that this season if honestly, and that wouldn't have happened. But you could have made an argument if Jalen Hurts doesn't go out hurt for those couple of games. Hurts was almost one of the favorites to win it until he goes out those. You could have made an argument for that. I don't remember what media was like back then that led to that happening, but it takes a lot to get to that point nonetheless. Jesse says Jeff Blake was fun. Jeff Blake
played for the Bengals, had that moon ball, just like throw it off the screen and just drop down there like a bucket. Yeah.
Man, so I'm trying to think of. All right, so I will keep this going because I am
Carl
curious.
Pickens.
Some of these non-superstar, non-elite quarterbacks that just were your favorite growing up. And again, this is a weird thing to get into after the announcement of Tom Brady, but we did the boo-hoo, bye-bye Tom Brady stuff last year. Like, he admitted it himself. You don't get the emotional send-off when he wasted that last year. I will give Tom Brady this, though. I love that he said that. I love that was about as real of a video of saying goodbye. He's like, I just want to say goodbye. I wanted you to hear it from me. I wanted you guys to know, I don't get a big emotional send off. I wasted that last year, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was cool that he acknowledged that. I thought that was kind of neat. So nonetheless, Jake Plummer.
Jake the Snake
Plummer right there.
I remember Ohio State beat them in the, what was that, Fiesta Bowl? Way back when he was in college at Arizona State. Yeah, we beat him. Go Bucks.
Good one. Josh Maloney says Boomer. Jesse says, obviously, Jake Plummer, as we just talked about. But yes. By the way, when I said Brian earlier, he said he's a young 43-year-old. He's a young. Jesse says Tim Duncan and Curtis Martin are the two most underrated players in sports history. Wow. That goes back to our comment earlier about appreciating greatness when you're watching. I forgot about Curtis Martin, by the way. See, that kind of goes to what Jesse's point is. Ron Howard. Yes, I forgot. Ron.
Hello, Ron.
By the way,
Ronald.
Did Tom Brady play? Tom Brady will always be remembered as a New England Patriot.
Of course.
But he is one of the few that when they left the team that they're known for, that would go on to at least win a Super Bowl elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he played more of a role in Tampa's Super Bowl win than what Peyton Manning did going to Denver. I'm not arguing he should be remembered for anything other than the New England Patriots, but he did create a nice little name for himself over in Tampa as well. I still think he has the skill to keep playing. I don't think he's that bad. I know you talked about him being afraid to get hit, but we remember the storyline heading into the season was that offensive line was decimated.
Right.
And then, of course, I forgot the center's name that was out. I'm drawing a blank on his name. So when he went out, that was brutal from the very beginning. You know, we talk about Joe Burrow being able to pull. Joe Burrow's 26, 27 years old. You know, Tom Brady's 20 more. He's 20 years older. Well, about 18 years older than Joe Burrow as far as that's concerned. But nonetheless, but yeah, Ronnie, how you feel? He goes, Ron says, I thank him. Ron, by the way, for you guys who don't know, big Buccaneers fan. So
big Tampa fan.
Big Tampa. Yeah, he's a big Rays fan. But he goes, I thank Tom for the championship. We'll be back. And then, Ron, what did you say David Carr for? Was that chiming in? Like to get David Carr? You mean Derek Carr? I'm assuming he means the Bucs to get Derek Carr.
Yeah, because his brother already had a career.
Yeah. Yep. Jake Delhomme. You know what? I remember I liked him with the Panthers. I remember that Super Bowl run.
Steve Smith was a receiver and Musa Muhammad.
Yep. And then who was their head coach? That's just driving me nuts. Who was their head coach that year?
Man, who was their head coach that year?
See, people tune into sports talk shows so that we can give you those answers. And all I do is keep asking questions like, who the hell was the head coach that year? And it's going to drive me nuts because it's going to be But Jake Delhomme, I remember, went to the Browns for a little bit. Like, that's what
how'd that work out?
Yeah, it worked out just fine. It kept them, they were consistent. Tyler says, John Kitna. That's a good one, too. But see, the only reason I'm not going to give it to some of these is because obviously playing for the Bengals, like, of course, we're familiar with a lot of these names, but
right.
Jake the Snake so far is the best one. John Fox, of course, because he would go on to win it with Denver, too. How the heck did I forget that?
The crazy thing about Peyton Manning when he went to Denver, the year he was the MVP, he balled out of control, and they got beat down by the Seahawks. I remember that vividly because I went to Syracuse to go to the Syracuse Duke basketball game. My little cousin, she was a student there at the time, and it was their first time playing in the ACC versus each other. So we went up there for the game, great game, and we drove back on Super Bowl Sunday, and me and my brother went to go grab some pizza, and we were stuck at the pizza shop for the entire first half of the game. So by the time we got home with the pizza was cold, and the game was over because it was a blowout. And then the year that they actually won the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning was hurt half of the year. And I forget who the quarterback was. The backup quarterback played a ton for the Broncos that year, and Peyton Manning came back in time for the playoff Super Bowl run where they were led by that defense and Von Miller and everything like that. But ultimately he'll go down as a legend for both teams because he was able to.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry. That I was gonna say this. That they're just
no.
There. Yeah.
Yeah, but Peyton Manning, man. Peyton Manning, I know we're talking about like obscure guys, but that he definitely had an obscure season that they won the Super Bowl. Look at those stats that he put up during that Super Bowl season. Not impressive.
Dylan Shaver says Brock Osweiler.
That's who it was. Yes.
So see, I can't tell if these are the names of the quarter. So that's why I wasn't sure. Like people throwing out names. By the way, when I am reading these, by the way, you could be a part of that. Go to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, and that's where you can leave your comments in the comment section. We interact with you that way, or you can give us a call at 518-1410. Yes, Brock Osweiler was the Broncos backup that year, but Hasselbeck's another name, of course. Like, we're having multiple conversations right now. This is ADD Wednesday. Byron Leftwich.
Oh,
that's a good one. Byron Leftwich. Jesse says Steve McNair. Yeah, we talked about him. And then Jared Lorenzen.
Oh, R.I.P. Jared Lorenzen. Won a Super Bowl. Backup quarterback for the Giants.
Was he the really, really big quarterback?
Yeah,
from Kentucky. And he passed away unexpectedly, right?
Yeah.
But yes, Matt, that was Matt Scruggs on Facebook who chimed in with that one. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410. That's the number to call if you want to jump in on the conversation. ESPN Radio's Jay Williams. He joins us, let's see, about 35 minutes from now. Dayton Flyers got a big win last night in overtime against Loyola. Dayton's hard to figure out right now because you're happy they got a win, but they beat down Richmond over the weekend. They beat down Richmond, and that looked like the team that, okay, Mally's been back for a few games. They just pummeled Richmond. All right, we're starting to see them turn in the right direction. Now, I know they got the win yesterday, but, there's still a lot of Flyer fans not happy. That's a last-place Loyola team that took UD to overtime at UD Arena. I'm not being Mr. Negative, but I do understand that if we're talking about Ohio State or anybody else, we would be kind of having these same conversations. So I think it's a valid concern, but hey, you know what? You got the win.
Right.
And at that, right now when Dayton's played down to the competition against bad teams, they've lost to those bad teams. They at least came out on top. They were able to overcome it. Duran didn't have his best game. Malley had probably his best game since coming back. Actually, his best game of the season, regardless of whether he's back or not. So there are some positive signs for the Flyers nonetheless. But Norm Greavy, former Dayton Flyer, he's going to be in with us for the 5 o'clock hour. So he'll be coming up about an hour and a half from now. So pretty excited about that. All right. AEW Dynamite going to be live at Wright State University's Nutter Center coming up later on tonight. And John Moxley, he is actually, we caught up with him. We have an interview that we did with him yesterday that we will air coming up around the corner as well. John Moxley going to be in action tonight. In fact, his very first match ever was here in Dayton. He shared a story, Kev, about one time it was he was selling advertising for some wrestling promotion. He never wrestled before, but he just got thrown into a battle royal match or whatever. That's he'll share the story in the conversation coming up around the corner. But I'm excited for today's show. We got a lot to get into. By the way, did you know? I mean, this week, do you like the 2-week gap between the AFC NFC Championship games and the Super Bowl?
Yes, because of news like this, we get a ton of coaching hires, like we did with Sean Payton and D'Amico Ryans. Then we get this bombshell from Tom Brady. Like, all the Super Bowl coverage would have stopped to talk about Tom Brady, but we have this buffer week basically to talk about any and everything. We can get caught up with the LeBron situation and him chasing the scoring record. I like this buffer week.
The buffer week, do you guys like it? That's the question. 518-1410 or head to Facebook and jump in on the conversation there. I like it and I don't. And you got to wonder if some of the news that's come out this week came out this week because it's a safe week to do it.
Exactly.
You know, Denver, I think, would have made this decision no matter what because they're desperate to get a coach. But you would have to think Tom Brady probably retires maybe a week or two later if that's the case, nonetheless. But it's interesting as to the reason for why there's a 2-week gap between the AFC NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl is not for why you think. It's not one of the reasons is an extra week to hype it up. But there's a lot of other reasons as to why, and I found it interesting. And it's another reason why I actually am changing my mind. I actually do not think that we will go to neutral sites for AFC, NFC Championship games. And it's the reason why there's an actual 2-week gap between NFC, AFC Championship weekend and, of course, the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that on the other side. Nolan Russell says he loves the buffer week. This is a good one, by the way. See, my ADD is bad, by the way. Chad Pennington. I love those Jets teams. Back then, because that was, you talked about Rich Gannon earlier with the Raiders. That Rich Gannon team that actually went on to go to the Super Bowl with Jerry Rice and Tim Brown. And who was the
Napoleon Kaufman?
And who's the running back though?
Napoleon Kaufman.
But I thought they had
they had
Charlie. Was it Charlie Bat? No, that's
Charlie Batch, backup quarterback for the Steelers. I forget the other running back they had.
I got to go back and look at that. But either way, the Jets and the Raiders met that year in the AFC championship game to get to that Super Bowl. The Jets team was really good with Pennington. I liked Pennington. He wasn't an elite level quarterback. But nonetheless. All right, 518-1410. My ADD is in full force right now, so I got to step away for a few moments. 518-1410. Don't go anywhere.
On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Brian Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jay, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. so you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AC or heat problem? It's BOGO season, baby. Invest in a 16-SEER AC unit and get an 80% furnace completely free. Just pay labor and permits. Call Drake Heating and Air at 937-472-0640.
The hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves the Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's Babbel.com.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer WetJet. With Swiffer WetJet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer WetJet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouseto.com for more info.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
We are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN's Jay Williams. He joins us coming up here just under a half hour from now. We're live on Facebook and live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. So go and check us out there. Still continuing to read some of your responses, of course. And, a little bit ago, By the way, where did it go? Jesse says he loves the extra week last year because it was all Bengals talk. So here's the deal about the Bengals when it comes to this, by the way. I'm bummed that they're not in the Super Bowl because as a host, I mean, it's 2 weeks of content that just got thrown out the window.
Easy content.
Now we're talking about Chad Pennington and Dante Culpepper. And by the way, I wasn't completely off. I said Charlie Batch. I knew as I said it, that was a quarterback and wrong, but it was Charlie Ward. No, not Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward's another quarterback.
Jeez,
Charlie
Gardner. See, it was Charlie. Charlie. That's all my goodness. I was like falling down a flight of stairs. And just when you get back up, you continue falling some more. But I knew it was a Charlie. So there's that. But that's where we're at right now. We're talking about whether or not I'm not a fan of the AFC NFC championship 2-week gap. Now, to be fair, it's way better than the college football format where you have selection Sunday on the first Sunday of December, and then you don't play a playoff game until 4 weeks later. I think that's I think that's a little silly. I've always thought that the college football playoff format, at least with the 14 format, we only have one more year left of that. Selection Sunday, I think you should build for 2 weeks like this to get to the first semifinal matchup and then get to the national championship on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or that first week of the new year, what have you. I think that would be better. Now, Kidder, why would you want 2 weeks there and not 2 weeks here? Well, at least in college football, you could sprinkle the bowl game. So if you have selection Sunday and then, of course, you go right into the playoff game 2 weeks later, you could sprinkle some bowl games in the middle of that 2-week run leading up to the semifinal and then more bowl games between the semifinal and the national championship game. But with the Super Bowl, to me, I always thought it didn't make any sense. Like, is that extra week of it's the Super Bowl, it's the National Football League. The NFL is king as far as content is concerned. If there's any sport out there that doesn't really need an extra week to hype up something, it is the National Football League. Like, I don't think that it necessarily needs it, but it's fascinating to me from you talk about like the logistics of everything that kind of goes on behind the scenes. I was reading an article the other day about, yes, it's they benefit from getting that extra week. They benefit from getting that extra week, of course, of the hype for everything. But when you want to talk about, all the team graphics in the stadium and the fans prepping, you have parking and you have the painting of the roads, and there's so many other things that kind of go into setting things up. That's the main reason that they do it. And that got me to thinking, I'm like, well, if that's really what it takes, because keep in mind, if you did the host sites for the AFC and NFC championship game, what would be the difference there? Because those would be treated like 2 mini Super Bowls as far as that's concerned. So that's another reason why I don't think they can go to that unless they absolutely did after the divisional round. Set up a 2-week gap between that and the AFC NFC championship game and 2 more weeks of the Super Bowl. And the NFL, it wouldn't put it past him from that standpoint as well, Kev, because at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about it that entire stretch of those off weeks and the kind of the extra build. And plus that takes them further into the year where they dominate the calendar even more. I'm not saying I support that or want that, but I did find that interesting as to far as, well, why would that be the case for the Super Bowl, but not for the AFC and NFC championship games if they chose to go that route?
Oh, I would hate that. I would hate it so much. You're just dragging this thing out, just milking us for every ounce of time we have. Like, they basically will have us on lockdown from August until March. Like, that's how long the NFL will have its grabs and its hooks in us.
Yeah.
Like, we already don't watch college basketball all season until March Madness. Like, we're already at that point. We're already at the point where we don't start really paying attention to the NBA until after the All-Star break because of football. So if the NFL does that and drags this thing out, let's just say 2 or 3 more weeks, goodness gracious, like, we're never going to talk college hoops because it's going to be engulfed by NFL draft, because the NFL draft is going to be as soon as the Super Bowl is over. We're never going to talk NBA because it's all going to be about the next season. So I would definitely not like that, especially from like a sports talking show.
So, and that's the other thing too. So this is why college basketball has to figure their stuff out, because the one thing about the NFL could pulverize college football if it wanted to, chooses not to. It's pick your battles, right? They could pulverize college basketball. No one would care.
Right.
Like, we would care because we like college basketball, but there wouldn't be enough people to speak out against it. And the reason I say that is because think about it. The NFL can do Saturday Night Football starting in week 1. They choose not to until December when college football Saturday is out the window and they're just sprinkling bowl games in for that month. They respect college football because they know that they can outdraw college football. They know you know what I mean? Like they'd be more interesting. Now, some of you are listening, I like college football more than the NFL. Well, you're in the minority on that, but that's fine. That's your prerogative. All I'm saying is that they know that, hey, that would be more competition than anything else. But they choose to kind of hold off on it because college football has a decent enough product that they don't need to go head to head with it. College basketball does not. And if they wanted to push further into the college basketball season and they wanted to, you know what I mean? Like go up against it, they wouldn't mind one little bit. They would eat college basketball alive as far as that's concerned. And to be honest, I think right now we're at the point where they're eating the NBA alive too, because no one's talking about the NBA. You know, we were talking about this a little bit ago. LeBron James is less than 100 points or just a little over 100 points away from setting the
89.
all-time. So, because that performance from last night. So he was 100-plus points heading into last night's performance. So 89 points away from setting the NBA's all-time scoring record. And I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Now, it is a humongous deal, but I don't feel like it is a huge deal. A year ago, the Steph Curry chasing of the three-point record, I mean, that seemed mega. That seemed big time. That seemed like a ginormous deal that all these networks were covering it and that they were basing all of their reporting around it. I know some me and some buddies, we went to Indianapolis when the Warriors were in town. In fact, we thought that there was a chance he could set it in Indianapolis. Now, this is my conspiracy theory. I think there was no way in hell they were not going to let that be broken in Indianapolis because, for one, should have known better. There was no Reggie Miller there. There was no Ray Allen there. There was no one of significance that was in Indianapolis that night had he just gone off, had he had his typical Steph Curry game. But just so happens the next night or two nights later in Madison Square Garden, every single star. And by the way, that wasn't well, he didn't break the record tonight, so I guess I'm going to go to Madison Square Garden on Thursday. No, that was planned ahead of time. It drove me crazy because we couldn't wait to be there to say we watched history. But nonetheless, it felt like something last year with that three-point record. This doesn't feel like anything, and this is the home run record of baseball. This is the record in basketball, and I have no clue why. This just seems so ho-hum. I have no idea why.
Yeah, it's definitely been on the back burner of the main sports talk shows like on ESPN or Fox Sports 1. It's been a hot topic on NBA TV. As you can imagine, I'm a big NBA TV watcher, so I've been tracking it the whole way. And I would ask anybody out there, is it anticlimactic because we saw this coming probably 15 years ago? Like, if anybody's been watching basketball as long as LeBron James has been in here, it's been talked about for 15 years. Like, he's going to get there. Like, it's obvious he's going to get there, and he's going to shatter this record because he's still scoring 30 points a game at 38, 39 years old. So he's going to pass him this year, halfway through the season. So he's going to play the second half of the season, rack up even more points. Probably going to at least play 2 more seasons after this because he's on contract too. And at this rate that he's playing and the rate that he's going, nobody ever catch this number. Like, we always talk about records are meant to be broken. I don't think this one will ever be broken, this points, because people talk, oh man, dudes shoot the 3-pointer. Steph is hitting threes like crazy, but he's not going to catch LeBron James. Dame's hitting threes like crazy. He's not going to catch LeBron James. James Harden, he don't play enough to catch LeBron James. Kevin Durant don't play enough to catch LeBron James. LeBron James is going to be the number 1 all-time leading scorer in the NBA, and probably maybe he'll get to number 3 on the assist mark. Maybe.
Yeah. So I would have to really break down the numbers to see where I would fall as far as whether that record will ever be broken again after LeBron.
We ain't going to be breathing when it is.
But
how about that?
Unless the league drastically changes from offense to defensive again, I'm starting to look at these numbers and I'm like, you got Shea Gilchrist-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder averaging 30 points per game. Joel Embiid is averaging 30. But these are numbers that back when Kobe did it, we couldn't believe that anyone was doing this. Allen Iverson did it for a brief stint. It might have been that MVP year that he averaged the well over 30. But
yeah, he averaged like 35 at MVP.
So, and that was 1-2 guys doing it. Now, and let me click on this, there are 5 guys averaging 30 or more, probably more than that because I just have the top 5 list up. So, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if you want to just go into 29.9, 29.8, 8, 9, 10, we're at 12 guys who are averaging close to 30 a game and well over 20 guys who are sitting there at that 25 plus. I mean, so to me, it's like points are coming to these players in waves. Now, assuming that the NBA stays this soft for the next 25 years, I do think if you look at a name coming in, like it just depends. Like, so I'm looking at this, like, I'm not saying Donovan Mitchell, but I'm looking at young players. So John Morant at 27 points per game. How old is John Morant?
I think Ja is just turned 25.
25. So John Morant, if he keeps at this scoring pace, if he's just year 3 in the league or whatever, and only continues to get better, and he's going to continue. All I'm saying is at this pace, I could see that record be
Ja just turned 23. My bad.
23. Yeah. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, but like that's with the mindset of the league being a little lower scoring than what it is right now. Right now at this pace, these players are getting points easier than ever before. Maybe is it because of that? Maybe it's because we watch these games and we just see players drop points left and right. It's not as exciting. It's not as fun. It's not as I don't know what it is. It's kind of like in baseball. We talked about the home run era. When chicks dig the long ball. Well, there was not as many home runs. There's more home runs that was hit during over the last 5, 6, 7 years. More home runs have been hit over the last 5, 6, 7 years on a per year basis than during the steroid era. But the steroid era was considered the chicks dig the long ball era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And back then we loved the home run ball because it wasn't as common. It didn't happen as often. I mean, it happened, you know what I'm saying? But the point is not at the clip that it does today. Now everyone's hitting home runs because everyone's swinging for home runs, which means the chances to have as many opportunities to hit these high home run numbers is kind of going through the roof a little bit. Now what's neutralizing that is the fact that you have guys like David Bell and continuing doing the lineup changes and not playing every day, and you know what I mean, like being taken out in the 5th or 6th inning, not pitchers but even hitters, and these double switches. That's kind of neutralizing that a bit. But I guess my point is LeBron, the lack of interest in his record because so many people are actually sick of all the scoring, like we're tired of watching all the scoring. Is that something to do with it too?
Maybe. I hope not, because what he's doing on a personal level is a career achievement. This is a career achievement. This isn't just simply what he's doing this season. And that's why I don't think that it ever be broken. Out of the guys that are active, the closest one that I could imagine making it would be a Giannis, because he plays more than a lot of the other guys and he still scores at a high clip. But like LeBron is in year 20 and still scoring like this, and he's going to keep scoring like this because, let's be real, man, they're the worst team in the West. They're currently 13 in the West. So we can call it stat stuffing. And for goodness sakes, if LeBron wants to stat stuff, by all means, go ahead and do it, because give us something to watch, because Lord knows the Lakers are going to be on TV a million more times this season, even though they're not in playoff contention. So go ahead. Just give it to LeBron. Just let him do his thing. I don't care. It's fun to watch. So as far as these other guys, you talk about like Ja and up and coming guys in the league, they don't play enough. They don't play enough basketball. They're at points per game. Points per game is nice. But what about their total points? Because this is total points for your career. They're not going to make it there because they're only playing about 50, 65 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to make it. There's no way they're going to make it. They'll have a nice career average, but they won't have as many points as LeBron James. I'll be surprised if more than, 5, 6 active players pass Melo, and Melo's number 9.
No, that's again. So earlier I talked about the home run numbers, and I said it's being neutralized a little bit because guys aren't playing as deep into ball games because of the double switches. To your point, you have guys who are working in their contract that don't want to play back to back, so they don't want to, they're getting off days and all this stuff. They don't, and that's playing a role in that. So it's less games, less opportunities. I started looking at too. So there are 17 in today's NBA, 17 players averaging 25 or more points per game. 17. If you go back to 2017, I don't know why I picked 17, but I just scrolled down a couple, whatever. But go back to 2017, there were only 9 players that averaged 25 or more when it was all said and done. Go all the way back to 2010, only 7 players averaged 25 or more. 17 players in today's National Basketball Association are averaging, obviously, 25 points or more, and 5 of those 17 are averaging 30 or more. Like that's pretty impressive. Now, it's still impressive because, again, it's like what you talked about yesterday, the efficiency.
Yeah.
Because you could give guys back in the 90s the same amount of shots that the guys are taking today. And I'm not saying there's no way, but they probably would not. And again, because guys are practicing the long distance shooting more than 3-point shooting, all that stuff. So, but it's the efficiency of it. Look at the volume, the high volume shooters. For one, back in the day, you'd call them high volume shooters. And the reason that was a negative connotation to it is because a high volume shooter usually was kind of correlated with the low shooting percentage.
Right.
Now you're getting high volume shooters with shooting in that, upper, that close to 40% range. And now that wipes out that negative connotation of the high volume shooter tag that some of those guys used to get. That's why Tracy McGrady will never be viewed as, well, I don't know how you would. Is he an all-time great? I don't think he's an all-time great.
All-time great. No, love to watch him play.
But yes, but he was always one of those high volume scores. Vince Carter at his peak, he had a very good run with the Nets, and he still played very solid ball even as an older guy. But at his peak, high volume guy. So, and that's the thing too. Carmelo, I always viewed as a high volume guy, but he changed things throughout. I don't dislike Carmelo Anthony. I just didn't draw to him, maybe because I was a LeBron guy, and I don't know why. You know me, I have to make everything a competition. No, if I like him, screw him. I can't just say both of them are good players, But interesting nonetheless. But
it's going to be a celebration, and it should be a big time celebration once LeBron is able to pass this record, man. And I think it should be celebrated by everybody.
So with that being said, an interesting take coming in here that I don't know if I agree with, but I'm willing to at least kind of have that conversation. Steve Stetler says, I think one reason it's not a basketball issue, but he's been pretty public on non-related basketball issues that could have alienated a lot of fans. It's still a historical record that won't be broken. Steve, first of all, I appreciate the way that you worded that. It wasn't in a tip, how people can be. So Steve, I appreciate that. My only thing is Steph Curry speaks out on a lot of social issues as well. And he was still, people dislike the Warriors and they rip him all the time. He was still propped up. But maybe it's the standard of, Steph Curry's one of the great players in today's game, and LeBron's the face of the league. I don't know if we hold him to different standards. I understand where he's coming from. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with LeBron, but I don't know about alienating, because even by not taking a stance on something, you're taking a stance on something.
Right.
So I feel like you're alienating someone somehow. But LeBron does seem to be a very dislikable, probably the most disliked great of all time. If I'm trying to think of how to word, Tom Brady was disliked, but no one, haven't seen much Tom Brady bashing today. You get the occasional cheater conversations of whatever.
Deflategate.
But I do feel like LeBron, there's a lot of hatred and a lot of dislike towards LeBron James.
Yeah, it is. And it's silly. I mean, one doesn't have to correlate with the other, man. What he does on the basketball court is totally different to what he talks about, in his personal life and politics and all that jazz. Because if you have a basketball team, you want him on your team, period, because he's that good. If you're a basketball fan, if you're an NBA fan and LeBron James is a free agent and he just says, yeah, I'm going to go to team, blah, 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 you're going to be happy because you're going to win a lot of basketball games. It's just as simple as that.
So Adam LZ on YouTube, Kev, he goes, talking about the players that have a chance. He said active players, maybe Tatum or Luka gets close. Now, Tatum maybe because he's a freak athlete. Luka is a guy that I just marvel at because the videos he posts, he smokes cigs. You
remind me of my brother.
I need a post game beer. Let's just put it this way: Luka is a very fun player to watch, but I don't think he's not built to last. Let's just put it that way. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know what his longevity is in the NBA as an elite player. Let's just put it that way.
He's a great player. People a little bit older than us will remember this. Remember the NBA lockout. The NBA lockout happened after the 98 season. There's a great player named Sean Kemp. He got traded from the Seattle Supersonics to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They go on the lockout. They come back. Sean Kemp has gained 80 pounds.
Been there.
During the lockout. And he was never the same player again. He was never the same player again after the lockout because of all the weight that he gained. If there's ever an NBA lockout due to whatever reason, better watch out for Luka. Eating a lot of pasta, eating a lot of bread, smoking cigs, drinking beer, living his best life and everything like that. Better watch out for that. That is something definitely to be alarmed about. The only guy that I really can see doing it is Giannis. It's really the only one. Maybe Tatum, but Tatum plays on such a balanced team. I don't think that he'll get there because there's nights where Jaylen Brown is dropping 40 points where he's like, oh, well, sure show, buddy. I'll just score my 12 points a night and we'll win. I just don't see it. I just don't see it with Tatum. It's possible because he's so young and he's already made a dent in this league, and you would imagine he'll only get better. But if I had to put money on somebody out there that's actively in the league, it would have to be Giannis.
Another one that just came in too is Alan Hubler. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. LeBron is also averaging 70 games a season.
Bing, 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 bing.
That makes it harder. Now, see, here's the deal. I love that LeBron is still continuing to fight and play, but like you do have to question, and not in a bad way. I mean, good for him for having the drive to go pursue this record. But, you know, if after he achieves this scoring record, if all of a sudden he starts doing more of the taking nights off, which again, why not? Everyone else is doing it. And if anyone else can do it that's in their 20s, then I think the guy that's almost 40 should be able to do that. But you know, I think a lot of people too are kind of like questioning his motive, you know, as far as like, you know, the record and stuff. You know, does he care about winning and stuff? I know that temper tantrum looked real the other day. I hate you.
You know, I thought of you when I saw that. I was like, I'm not buying this.
You know what, though?
I'm not buying this.
Just because everyone else doesn't care doesn't mean LeBron doesn't care. LeBron cares. And he's been working on that acting. I mean, everyone criticized it for Space Jam 2. That was a pretty good performance the other night. Come on now.
Hey, man, like I said before, if he is stat stuffing, so what? Stop him from stat stuffing. That's what I say. Like, if y'all don't like it, stop him from stat stuffing. If he's simply out here just trying to push this record to the 9th power and make it uncatchable for the next person, stop him from doing it. Stop him from doing it, because if he's going out there simply trying to pad his stats, stop him. And apparently you can't. So keep going. You can still play. You can still put it in the hoop. Don't mean your team going to win. You know how many teams out here that are losing night after night after night that don't have a player like LeBron James? Look, if we got to watch the Lakers all the time, for goodness sake, at least we're watching LeBron James. And if I'd rather watch a LeBron James that's out here just trying to score every single time than watching, you know, the passive LeBron James that we got in his first year with the Miami Heat.
So Steve Stetler also says, we know the Lakers aren't winning a championship. He just loves to play. Bronny might have something to do with that as well. The Bronny thing will be interesting. I mean, we had Adam Jardy, who covers Ohio State, on the show last week. And I think Kevin and I both thought the same thing about Bronny, but we weren't sure. But hearing somebody else confirm what we all kind of thought, like, he's not a McDonald's All-American. Like, he's not, you know, he's a very, very good player. But I mean, I think the last name is carrying a lot of the hype that's surrounding this kid, of course. But I don't know how much that plays a role in it. I will say this, though. I'm not defending the Lakers whatsoever, but the whole idea of putting LeBron and Anthony Davis together in the NBA was because it went from the super teams of the trios to the duos. And that started a couple summers ago when Kawhi left Toronto and went to the Clippers, and it was Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And then, of course, you have Tatum and Brown in Boston. Luka doesn't really have that true number 2, or at least he has a number 2 that's not with Middleton. He's not viewed as a superstar, but that is his number 2. And then you look around the league, and then, of course, the Nets tried it with Harden and Durant and Kyrie, but you have Durant and Kyrie, who, by the way, everyone counted them out, but right now their heads all seem to be on straight. I know Durant's out injured right now, but the Nets could be a scary team come playoff time. They watch this be the season that they do it after all the talk about them and how dumb it was to kind of bring them all back together. They might prove everybody wrong this year. Point is, it's about duos. It's never that that LeBron hasn't been good enough. It's that Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. But to be fair, we knew that about his time in New Orleans. We knew it that hell the year they won the championship, he wasn't healthy. It just kind of helped that there was that COVID lockout that he had 3 months to get healthy. There's not many opportunities in a regular season where you have a 2.5 month stretch to get healthy heading into the playoffs. So,
facts.
But hey, he won the ring. So there you go. Two-way.
Well, he's going to miss another 3-week stretch here in the very near future and officially knocked them out the playoffs.
I like that guy they got from Washington, by the way. I can't pronounce his name.
Rui Hachimura.
It's not a coincidence, though, that since they got him and when AD is out on that floor, the Lakers look like a legitimate playoff contender. Not a championship
play-in team.
A legitimate play-in contender. Stop it, Kev. Just
play-in
stop it.
Team.
That's no way to treat the leading scorer in the history of the National Basketball
Not yet.
Association. Bow down to
yet.
the king.
Not
Bow
yet.
down to the king.
Kareem.
We'll be right back. ESPN's Jay Williams. He joins us next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
WYNG 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What if I told you, in Iran, women are banned from going to soccer games?
Mom, take the ball. I love you.
For 43 years, Iranian women have fought back. Police pushed us. Troops. This is their story.
The joy was forbidden.
What is the meaning of that?
That is how they control you.
I'm Shimol Yai. Listen to the new 30 for 30 podcast, Pink Card. Available now.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never really thought about tools until I bought a house in the suburbs. It's like this weird homeowner test if I need a tool for a project and don't have it. And my neighbor Ted loves to give me that look when I ask to borrow a pole saw. A year ago, I didn't even know pole saws existed. And now I gotta borrow one from Ted? What is happening?
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone love The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jay, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Oh my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts provides more than just the right parts for your repair. Our professional parts people can also offer free check engine light diagnosis. We can scan your vehicle and provide a list of possible fixes. Find the right parts for you or recommend a great local repair shop. Don't ignore your check engine light. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's the final days to save big store-wide at the Truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, get deals on select major appliances and take home what you buy same day. And save an additional 10% on all in-store clearance appliances. Plus, get savings on even more items across the store, like up to 40% off select bathroom products. Hurry and head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowe's.com to shop the Truckload event today. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Valid 1/26 through 2/8.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name is Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMV. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone love The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jay, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live. Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com.
Justin Kenner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Of course, this week we were hoping to be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 57, of course. But obviously, that's not the case. Chiefs, Eagles, Super Bowl 57. And that's what I thought we'd be spending some of our time talking about today with our next guest, of course. But the Tom Brady retirement news has dominated all the headlines here today. But joining us now from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio's Jay Williams. Jay, Will, we appreciate your time today. Welcome.
Job, boys. It's been a crazy morning once the Tom Brady news broke.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we expect to be talking about Sean Payton and D'Amico Ryans, but we're talking about Tom Brady retiring again.
I mean, I was, this is a joke. I'm just prefacing it this way. I'm like, man, 2 years in a row, Tom Brady has hijacked Black History Month. I mean, it's like, what is going on, Tom? 2 years in a row on the same date, February 1st, but.
Right, and Black Panther's dropping on Disney Plus today.
Exactly. This guy is genius. But it's like watching the video, I'm just like, this to me feels real. And I'll be real with you guys. The first question I ask myself, and sometimes I ask myself questions that naturally comes out on TV, is I wonder if Tom, like, if there's any part of Tom that's thinking about, you know, was this a year too late?
Mm-hmm.
You know, should I have done this last year when obviously I led the league in passing yards, or the year before? But you think about everything that Tom Brady went through this year. You're still holding on to play a sport that you love, and I know you have to do it on your own time. But like the sacrifices that came with going through a divorce and going through a lot of the challenging aspects of his life, big part of me wonders what if he had done this last year? Would he had a chance to kind of do things differently, or would things have panned out differently for him personally? And that's kind of what we do sometimes as athletes. You know, you hold on, or you're holding on too long, or do you hold on too short? And I think that's a predicament that all of us have when it comes to retirement.
Yeah, for me on a personal level, when I saw that he announced he was retirement, all I could think was Operation Get My Girl Back. Like, that's what it went through my mind.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get your wife back, man.
Facts.
You gave up so much for the game of football. It's time to go get your family back.
Well, that's the thing too. Like when everybody's like, well, you know, if he didn't retire, the talk was becoming, does he go out with Kyle Shanahan? Does he become a San Francisco 49er? Does he become somewhat closer to San Mateo, where he's from with his mom and dad? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, no, like just focus on your kids, man. Like, you know, I don't know if that's with the Dolphins or with the Jets or whatever it is, but try to stay as close to home as possible. And now you're seeing him saying, no, I'm shifting all my attention towards what matters the most. You know, people always say, oh, your football legacy. And I'm like, no, focus on your family legacy. And I'm happy that I'm seeing Tom prioritize that.
Yeah, shifting it back to the coaching and everything like that with Sean Payton. My question for everybody is Sean Payton worth all this hustle and bustle and the draft picks they have to give up to get him?
Yes. I say yes. We have Bill Parcells on the show today. And, you know, obviously Sean Payton comes from that Bill Parcells tree. And I asked him directly, guys, how, you know, Bill, not Sean Payton, because you can't speak for Sean, you directly, how would you come into the Denver Broncos situation with Russell Wilson and coach that? And he said, Jay, we are all the same. Nobody is above the law.
Mm-hmm.
And we are all pulling in the same direction. If you're not pulling in the same direction, you're not pulling at all. You're not on our team. You know, so a lot of the conversation has been around the personality between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. And, you know, how does the locker room feel about Russell Wilson? And when you hear Bill Parcells talk about we're all moving in the same direction, a lot of things are going to change in order to get it back to football and the principles. Now, schematically, yes, things are going to change. It can be very different than Nathaniel Hackett. But I think everybody's seeing that they're treated the same. And as this is not Russell Wilson calling plays or us skewing towards what Russell Wilson wants to do, the pecking order has now changed. It is not Russell Wilson, then Nathaniel Hackett. It is Sean Payton, and then the rest of the team. And that is a different kind of energy in that locker room and in that stadium. And I think that's the kind of leadership that Russ needs in order to get Russ to playing back at a high level as well.
Yeah, shifting it down to Houston, Texas. They brought D'Amico Ryans, a former player. Now, from my perspective, looking at Lovie Smith and Coley being their head coach, now they're rolling with D'Amico Ryans. What, as the public, should we think of this hire? Because we know the great things D'Amico Ryans did in the league and as a defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, but then we think about some of the shady things that the Houston Texans have been involved in, and now this is being their third black coach in a row. He signed a 6-year deal, but we know these deals can be torn up at any minute.
So, a couple of things here. Number one, 3 black head coaches in a row. Like, I have to applaud that because we always talk about the lack thereof minority head coaches in the NFL. Only 4 black head coaches with D'Amico Ryan now in the NFL. So I give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there has been a lot of questionable shadiness. Obviously, you made mention of Dave Cawley and Lovie Smith, right?
Yep.
Going into it, feels like they were set up for failure. The number 6 is a big number for me, because to me, that number indicates, in conjunction with the history of D'Amico Ryan being a Houston Texan himself, that franchises aren't turned around in 1 year.
Right.
They could be to a degree. But I was just talking to Teddy Bruschi about this. We were talking about the camaraderie and chemistry that it took them to build on NFL Countdown. I was talking to Keyshawn about this. It took Keyshawn and I 2 years to get on the same page to a degree about which direction we were pulling, because you're dealing with politics, you're dealing with personalities, some people in, some people out. So you need that time and that credibility to say, I'm going to be here for a while regardless, because that gives you clout in the locker room, guys. Because now I can look at certain players and say, hey, look, because you got a long-term deal, I'm going to be here longer than you. It gives me the authority to actually coach you because I know that I have job security. So I think the combination of the history that D'Amico has had with the franchise as a player and the number 6 with 6 years really helps him have that authority to say, these are the people I need here for Nick Caserio to actually build it the right way. And I actually think that Nick Caserio, I think that they actually have the right pieces and they're laying the right foundation to build. Now we have to get into the draft and personnel decisions. Like, that's going to be another thing we'll keep a watchful eye on. but I do like the move of D'Amico Ryan and the defensive mentality that it brings over.
ESPN Radio's Jay Williams, good enough to spend some time and hang out with us here today on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Jay, last thing on the way out, appreciate your time today. Look, Bengals fans upset about the way things went down in that AFC Championship game, and I just want to get your take on this on the way out, just because I thought you made a lot of good points on your show in the morning, Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max. But officiating is always I always feel like the officiating is always a talking point. The higher leverage of a moment of a game, or the higher the leverage of a moment of any kind of situation, I feel like officiating is kind of the same throughout most situations, but bad calls in close games or big games, I feel like we kind of focus in on those. Do you believe officiating, how big of a problem is officiating across the board? And was officiating why the Cincinnati Bengals lost this past Sunday?
You know, as an athlete, I'm never going to blame the refs for anything. There were a lot of missed calls in that game. I will state that. But then I would pose this back towards Cincinnati Bengal fans. And, like, I'm a fan of Joe Burrow. One of my best friends is a guy named Jordan Cornette, who's from Cincinnati, diehard. We watch all the games. Number one, like, you know, coming off what happened last year, when you're going into training camp and you're kind of figuring it out and not going as hard, and you have O-line issues, and it's taking chemistry time for them to get together, and you drop, you know, a game to the Dallas Cowboys, right, without Dak Prescott playing. Like, you look back on a lot of stuff, and home field advantage is so important, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. So it makes you look at how you approach the regular season to put yourself in that position, because it's the same thing I said about LeBron James not getting the foul call in Boston. I'm like, I hear you. It was blatant. They missed the call, but you're playing in Boston. You're playing in Kansas City, Cincy. So I'm not going to sit up there as a former player and a player with the Bengals and say, well, yeah, we got gypped by the refs, because to me that sounds like excuses, even though that may be the case. Because I have to look at myself and say, you know what? We need to be better throughout the course of the regular season, so we have home field advantage. So we're not even putting ourselves in that position anyway to get those calls. And this is a game of inches, man. So, yes, the refs did affect the game, but as a player, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. No way in hell.
Catch Jay Williams every weekday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max. Jay, Will, appreciate you. Always look forward to having you on the show. And I know you got a lot of other things on your plate today. We appreciate that we were part of your schedule. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys, too.
Later, Jay Will.
All right, guys. Thanks, man.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 30. Tonight's going to be partly cloudy and cold, a low near 20. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 40. I'm Pete Spy, back for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner for my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. When I want a great steak, I head to Fairfield Commons for not only a great meal, but a great experience. There is nothing more fun than cooking your own steak on a 755-degree sizzling volcanic rock. There's always a unique experience waiting for you at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And this month, you can celebrate with an exclusive that I am really excited about. Bourbon aficionados, listen up. Black Rock Bar & Grill now has a supply of Eagle Rare, and it's available right now while supplies last. Produced and distilled by Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare bourbons are some of the most sought-after bottles on the market. Aged for no less than 10 years, each barrel used to age Eagle Rare is hand-selected to offer consistent flavor from batch to batch, but also to showcase each batch's unique flavors and aromas. And right now, you can enjoy Eagle Rare at Black Rock, but only while supplies last. Stop in for lunch, dinner, or an after-work break. Remember, it's only at Black Rock. Celebrate with Eagle Rare bourbon while you can, and please drink responsibly.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Shout out to Jay Will with Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Max. Jay Williams, of course. I appreciate him giving us some time on the show today. Yeah, that Sean Payton news yesterday we thought was the biggest news in the NFL outside of all the Super Bowl headlines, but then Tom Brady called it a career today. Don't want to spend too much more time on the Tom Brady thing, but were you surprised that he retired?
No, he was done. He was done. Like, I want to say he's not done physically. I think he's done mentally. Like, man, everything that we talked about with his personal life, I think it's just checked out, man. Like, all right, man, I tried. It didn't work. It's just time to hang it up and spend some time with the fam.
So they put out this graphic about Tom Brady, the record against every team in the NFL. I mean, it is interesting looking at these numbers. I mean, it's just he dominated everybody.
Right.
He did beat every team in the NFL. So the Buffalo Bills, 33-3. 33-3.
Oh, my God.
How many years did Tom Brady play? From,
I think he was in New England for 16 years.
So 22. So we're looking at 19 seasons in the National Football League. But 33-3 is Tom Brady's record against the Buffalo Bills. 30-7 against the Jets and 24-12 against the Dolphins. He did finish undefeated against the New England Patriots, their one and only showdown, of course. The Colts, 12-3. The Jaguars, 5-1. Now I'm going through and just trying to find, like, is there a team that were surprised that had success against Tom Brady? And I mean, the New Orleans Saints, Kev, came in at 6-5. That was the one team that's he finished with one more win, but a lot of that came from the last couple of years. I think 3 of those losses came over the last couple of years. The Bucs couldn't beat the Saints in the last 3 years. So 3 of those losses did come with his time at the Buccaneers. 10-1 against Atlanta. By the way, Desmond Ridder was a part of that Falcons team that beat Tom Brady and the Bucs. So,
take that.
But yeah, based on how Bengals fans think, Ridder is better than Tom Brady,
Go
right?
Bearcats.
Like, is that how that works?
Go Bearcats.
Yeah, go Bearcats. Speaking of, we'll get to the Bearcats in a moment. He's finished. Well, see, this isn't updated then, because it says he's 7-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. He's 7-1, unless this is regular
Probably
season.
just regular season.
Regular season. But yeah, he never. So here's the teams that he never lost to. there are 1, 2, 3 teams that he never lost to, Kev. He never lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Technically, he did in the playoffs, though, regular season. He never lost to the Minnesota Vikings, and he never lost against, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow.
So interesting. His record against your Pittsburgh Steelers, what do you think his record? They played, 13 times.
I would imagine 13 times. I would say 10-3.
9-4.
Close enough.
Trying to give yourself extra. The Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals, he finished with the same record against both of those teams. So Ohio was pretty consistent. Now the Bengals and Browns both got a win over Tom Brady this past season. So
Take that, Tom Brady.
Yeah. So and by the way, based on how Bengals fans think, Jacoby Brissett better than Tom Brady, right? Jacoby Brissett's the actual GOAT. So there's that. But same record. They played 9 times.
Wow.
So what do you think? The 9 times
6-3,
7-2.
Okay.
The Browns. He was 7-2 against the Browns and 7-2 against the Bengals. And I'm trying to think, when did
they lose
to the Bengals and Browns? Especially when did he lose to the Browns? I don't remember the Browns beating the Patriots at all. And the Browns beat the Buccaneers this past season, but I don't remember the Browns beating Tom Brady before that. I mean, when Baker Mayfield was with the Browns, they got obliterated by the Patriots twice during that run. So there's that. But no, 5-2 against the Lions, 6-1 against the Bears, 4-3 against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and 4-3 against the Rams. So there is that. But nonetheless, thought that was kind of interesting. 7-2 against the Houston Texans. Oh, there is one team that he finished under 500 against, the Kansas City Chiefs. 5-6.
Loser
against the real GOAT. There's that. All right, you mentioned the Cincinnati Bearcats a little bit ago.
Yes, sir.
And if Luke Fickell would have stayed at Cincinnati, this would have been more exciting, I think. But they did their schedule release for 2023. It's still exciting, and there's some exciting teams that'll be coming to Cincinnati to play. Like, that's the thing that's kind of unique about this. So, they get UCF at home this year. Big whoop. Like, no one go to that game. Like, you've been watching that boring game for years now, right? No. So in the Big 12, the Cincinnati Bearcats will be a part of the Big 12 this coming up football season, of course. They'll open up the season at home against who's EKU, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
I believe Eastern Kentucky.
So that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. I said Charlie Batch earlier when we were talking about running back, so I just wanted a Charlie Ward as well. So I just figured I'm not on my A game today. I'm usually not even on my B game, and I usually average a C. So there's that. But they'll open up their first road game of the season will be at Pitt. So what's cool about this with the Bearcats, if you're accustomed to following them, like, it's just a full season of fun non-conference matchups almost, with one conference game against UCF. So there's that. But on the road at Pitt, they have Miami of Ohio at home. They did keep that rivalry kind of going a little bit, but they also have Oklahoma coming to Nippert. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've already put in my request for those tickets with a certain somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure. Cincinnati will be hosting Oklahoma this coming up season. I think that's pretty cool. That's what's fun about them kind of making that big jump. They'll be on the road at BYU. Then they'll have Iowa State.
Your boy, Campbell.
The most overrated coach in college football, and Iowa State. Never seen the guy consistently lose 3 and 4 games a season and still be up for every major program job that comes open. It's fascinating stuff. Baylor will be coming to Cincinnati this upcoming season. UCF and then Kansas, but they will be at Houston and at West Virginia. Interesting. Like I said, the whole Luke Fickell thing, I just think he was a part of all of that come up. Like, I just feel like, and again, whatever, of course you take other jobs, but it would have just felt different if he was still there and the recruiting was still coming in hot and you're taking that team, a Fickell-led team, into the Big 12. I think that would have meant more and had a little bit more of. The schedule looks cool. The Oklahoma coming to Cincinnati to play. That's pretty exciting. But yes, you have to wonder just how well they're going to fare moving forward without him. So we'll see.
Yeah, Satterfield's coming in from Louisville to UC, and they're transitioning into the Big 12. You're right. It would have had that big game appeal if Coach Fickell was still there, but he's up at Wisconsin. And one thing about him that he's already done, he's coached a game at Wisconsin. He coached that bowl game, which I was blown away by. I was like, oh, we're doing this for real. Like, you're not messing around. You're not letting the interim do the whole hard work. You hit the ground running. They've been hitting the recruiting portal heavy at Wisconsin. So I'm anxious to see what Fickell's going to do up there at Wisconsin.
We have time for one. Dickie, how are you, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. What are you up to?
Well, what did you think of the Bengals game?
Look, it was a great game. They had their chances. Obviously that big penalty was costly, and it set up the game-winning field goal for Kansas City. And look, back-to-back years in the AFC Championship game after going 3 decades without ever winning a playoff game, I'd say things are still going pretty well in Cincinnati. Obviously, even me, a hater, thought that we'd be talking about the Bengals in the Super Bowl, but unfortunate finish. But the Bengals will be back.
Yeah, I'll ask Kevin the same thing. Did you think the officials were made some bad calls?
Definitely bad calls made, but that wasn't why the Cincinnati Bengals lost. They had multiple opportunities to take the lead in the fourth quarter, and they just didn't. They had a interception, a great play by the DB, tipping it to the other DB, but a turnover is a turnover, so they had that. And then, that last drive where they got set back by the grounding, they ultimately end up picking up that first down, but then Chris Jones said enough of that drive and just ended it. So they had their opportunities, and I firmly still believe this. If they were somehow able to get to overtime, I think they would have been able to win the game, because I don't think that Kansas City was going to be able to drive the length of the field on that defense at that time. Patrick Mahomes broke the pocket, and then he was aided by 15 extra yards to put them in field goal range to send it to get them to the Super Bowl.
I was thinking too, I didn't never think, Justin, that Tom Brady was going to retire. Did you?
I knew it was a chance. I thought it caught everyone off guard. I'm watching, some of these live network shows in the morning, and I see the tweet and I see how long they go into the show without reacting to it. I'm like, oh man, no one saw this coming. Like usually there's a report of Tom Brady to make an announcement at some point throughout the day. No, he caught everyone by surprise. You could tell that was a genuine announcement. It wasn't planned. He did let Tampa know in the morning, of course, but I'm not surprised he retired, I guess, but it did catch me off guard a little bit. Yeah. That makes sense.
Another thing too, I was going to say, I'm hoping now. Last night they had their chances, but I like Garland, and the Cavaliers. I want to see them get to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, the one thing that's interesting, I guess, Kev, they've gone over a month without back-to-back wins.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they get a win, they have not been able to get back-to-back wins, and they're just very inconsistent. In fact, their record with Mitchell, and I don't think Mitchell's the problem. I just don't think this team has taken major steps forward. Their record is worse at this point than where they were at this point a year ago without Mitchell, and Mitchell's an MVP candidate at this point. So interesting to see the Cavs, who look like a very, very good, high leverage playoff team, but man, they do have some deficencies, and it's unfortunate because I think they have enough weapons to make a run in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But,
yeah, Mitchell was bad last night.
A lot of my friends, as you know, Kevin, a couple of the Browns fans, and the guy was telling me today, he always says, I put it on, Dick, when the red zone's on, and he said Jimmy and Tony and Gerard always enjoy my calls, don't they?
Absolutely, man. They always ask about Dickie.
Yeah. And I don't know, Kevin, if you knew this one guy, but do you like the Cavs broadcasters on the TV?
Throw the hammer down. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know who I think is pretty good? I love him. Austin Carr, don't you?
Yes, sir. Former number one overall pick out of Notre Dame, I believe.
Yeah. And, I'm trying to think who else did. I'm trying to think. I always liked the other guy. He died of cancer. He had did the game.
Yeah.
Fred McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good. I've always into that, but it's so neat. I'll sit there and Derod. I call him Derod. It's Deron, and he said Tony Grossi always says, "I wake up happy, don't I?"
Every time, Dickie. But Dickie, we're out of time, buddy. Always appreciate when you call.
Hey, I'm going to play a song for you guys on the Uke tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, where at? Where'd you say?
This is up at we play. Yeah, it's Beaver Creek, and people come in. My one political science professor calls me Dixter.
The Dixter, huh? The Dixter.
Yeah, Curran. Oh, he's cool. But we have a good time. An older lady comes up, and Sue said, "Now, Dick, you've got to make a choice now. You're more on the mandolin, but I think you should play the uke for about a month." So, it's a nice instrument. I'm looking for a banjo uke, and I travel and I meet people, and people always say, "Hey, I hear you and Justin," so I get around.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Dickie, always great hearing from you, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you too. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right.
The man.
Yeah, the Dickster. That's what when he calls in from now on. Kev, who we got?
The Dickster.
The Dickster. And he is always happy. I've never seen him in a bad mood, ever.
Great guy.
All right. Couple more minutes here. So AEW is going to be live at Wright State University's Nutter Center tonight. Yesterday, John Moxley, AEW wrestler, of course, will be in action tonight. He's obviously well known here in the Dayton area of Cincinnati. He was a ruler. He was the ruler of the jungle back when the Bengals and the Chiefs played in the regular season. And of course, chat with him yesterday. He said he was real bummed about that dang loss. He goes, he should have been he wish he could, if it was a home game, he would have been the ruler of the jungle again to kind of help, kind of get everyone fired up nonetheless. But, interesting talking with him about that. And so we'll have that conversation with John Moxley ahead of tonight's AEW Dynamite live at Wright State University's Nutter Center. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev, you know what today is, right?
February 1st.
So it's obviously the National Signing Day.
Ah, yes.
It's a day that used to be like a day that when we, for content purposes, this used to be the day that we would circle on the calendar. It was a big deal. We used to get a lot of programming that was sent to us from Ohio State and to really hype it up all week. And Kev, it's just it has lost a lot of its luster, if you will. We don't have time to get into all of it today, but Ryan Day did meet with the media, kind of getting more, his thoughts on kind of everything that went down against Georgia with the targeting call in the back of the end zone with Marvin Harrison, of course. So interesting stuff there. We'll have more of that on tomorrow's show. But just today, I used to love National Signing Day. It just does not have that same feel like it used to.
Yeah, it doesn't. Early signing day definitely is taking it over. It really sucks because this would keep college football topical.
Yep.
Now we just have that truncated. We get the college football Final Four announcement. Then like a week or two later, we get National Signing Day. And then a week or two after that, we get the semifinals, and it's just over. But, it's National Signing Day kind of keeps college football top of mind. So after the national championship game, it's just over. It's just over until spring football.
No, that's for sure. In fact, on tomorrow's show, since National Signing Day doesn't have as big of a feel when it comes to like some of our bigger programs like Ohio State and others, because a lot of those get the early signees and those types of things, it has been really cool from a local perspective, seeing a lot of our local high school kids here in the Miami Valley who have been signing their national letter of intent and everything along those lines. So we'll be kind of highlighting some of the top prospects from the Miami Valley on tomorrow's show who kind of signed their letter today, who've committed to some of these schools. Of course, Jackson McGowan, one of my favorite players here from the Miami Valley, he actually enrolled early at LSU. Pretty cool. To kind of see him go there. I know originally he was committed to Cincinnati.
Yep.
Then of course that may have worked out. I mean, look, it's not a shot at Cincinnati. If you go to Cincinnati, that is a big deal. Do not get me wrong. That is I'm not taking a shot at Cincinnati, but like you think of the trajectory of LSU right now, heading into year 2 with Kelly, the fact that McGowan, whenever he, when he decommitted or whatever after Fickle had left, Kelly came in and swooped him up, the kid from Miamisburg, and big time talent. And so he's already enrolled at LSU. That's one of the many talents from the Miami Valley that's going to be playing on Saturdays moving forward. And we'll talk about that. One of my favorite kickers in the area, Will Holt from Fairmont. He's going to be kicking at old Welcome Stadium. He's committed to old Dayton Flyers.
Flyer now.
Like I said, there's a lot of football players when you're in a high school, because again, we do high school football every Friday during the season, of course, and it's tough to come across teams who actually have reliable kickers. In fact, that literally sometimes when you're trailing and you're down by less than a touch, it eliminates teams from being able to get any kind of good quality win sometimes because they don't have the ability to, have a special teams that they can rely on or a kicker that they can rely on. Did a lot of Fairmont games this year, and that kid came in handy on quite a few occasions, and he has a boot on him.
Boot work.
He has a boot on him. That's for sure. All right, folks, we'll step away. When we come back, our conversation with AEW's John Moxley. He'll be live at Wright State University's Nutter Center tonight. We had a chance to catch up with the owner of AEW, Tony Khan, a couple times over the last couple of weeks. He's excited about AEW at Wright State University's Nutter Center. John Moxley. We'll have our conversation with him next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
February is Children's Dental Health Month, so make sure you make an appointment for your child to visit an Ohio Dental Association member dentist. ODA member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and have access to superior ongoing education and training. On your next visit, ask if your child's dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone love the Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Look at this. Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Are you in need of a notary?
Your Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office now offers a free online notary.
This service does require a camera.
Next time you need a notary, go to courthousetoyou.com and click Online Notary to submit your request. You can get it done right in your own home or office.
Did we mention there's no cost to you?
This is a free service brought to you by Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Some listeners like you are experiencing firsthand the amazing pain relief from QC Kinetics, even calling your favorite radio host to share the good news.
QC Kinetics. I had my right ankle worked on 4 months ago. Awesome.
That's great, look Mick. At that, man. Yes, they worked on my elbow.
Every day, the QC Kinetics medical professionals treat patients like Mick with the latest regenerative therapies using natural biologics concentrated right at the hurting joint. No surgery, no downtime.
I'm telling you, QC Kinetic is the way to go if you don't want to go under the knife and suffer for 3 months.
Yep. It
was very easy, as you well know, with your elbow.
I'm telling you.
You guys are awesome.
Mick, appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the phone call. Really appreciate it. I'm so glad that QC Kinetics did some wonders for you. I mean, regenerative medicine, man, that's the thing these days. Living proof right there.
Call QC Kinetics now for your consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Everyone knows that time is money. Go to Jackson Hewitt today for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee tax refund advance loan. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, we'll transition over to talk a little wrestling. Tomorrow night, AEW Dynamite. They'll make their debut here in the Miami Valley. The very first time wrestling fans will get a chance to see AEW live here in Dayton, and they'll be at Wright State University's Nutter Center. Of course, we've been giving out tickets throughout the week, and I know wrestling fans are excited to see AEW tomorrow night, but also excited for the chance to see a lot of great superstars on this card, including our next guest, Mr. John Moxley. John, first of all, welcome to the show. I appreciate your time. I'm pretty sure you're excited as well, getting a chance to come back and wrestle here in Dayton, a place you have a lot of history.
Pretty cool, actually. I'm from this area, and Cincinnati. I live in Cincinnati now. That's where I was born and raised, and the Cincinnati-Dayton corridor kind of area is where I started my career out. You know, I used to live in a trailer right up there on Springboro with a guy who used to train me, a guy named Cody Hawk, who still find in the Dayton area. First match ever, I think, was so I wrote about this, actually. First time I ever got in a ring was, Battle Royal, where, I wasn't even a wrestler yet, but they let me. If I sold a certain amount of tickets to the show, they would let me in the Battle Royal. It was at Montgomery County Fairgrounds. Right up there, probably 3-4 miles from where Wright State University is. So that was where my very first ever time I got in the ring was 3 or 4 miles from where we'll be at on Wednesday. Hopefully, it's not the end of my career in the same place where it started. Hopefully, I don't get destroyed by the ubiquitous Hangman Page.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fans are pretty excited about that matchup. The last couple matchups between you two have been absolutely brutal, and I think we can all expect the same thing tomorrow night at Wright State University's Nutter Center. But, John, the thing that I find most fascinating about you is, doing a sports talk show. We talk a lot about the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball, and it's fascinating to me how many professional athletes today work into their contracts. They want off days. They don't want to practice. They don't want to play in every game that they can. And it's a talking point amongst fans. It frustrates them. And I know that exists, in professional wrestling as well, when you talk about part-timers and stuff. And I think the reason that people love you so much is because they can relate to who you are as a worker, because you work nonstop. I mean, you've become one of the biggest stars in the industry, and yet you work more than some of the lesser known stars. You don't have to do this. Why do you, you go to AEW and you work for all these other promotions as well? What is it about wrestling that just pushes you so hard to where you have a chance to have an off night and you choose not to have an off night? That's how much this business means to you, obviously.
Yeah, if I was smart, I would try to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work possible. But believe it or not, professional wrestling, I used to do it on purpose and for free, and still do, because I enjoy it. It's recreation for me as much as it is anything else. What else are you going to do with your time? It's the coolest job in the world. Some people like to go golfing, and I like to, step in a cage and, attack people with weapons and, stab people with sharp things and stuff. There's really no other level of adrenaline you can reach, at a certain point once you've been doing this as long as I have. So, I need it for my soul to get out there and, get loose and get a good sweat on and, get a little blood come from my eyebrow and everything. It's relaxing to me. I enjoy pro wrestling. And I was happy to bring Dynamite to Cincinnati recently, about an hour south. And now this is kind of step 2, trying to take over Ohio. I'd like this to be a really big area for us, here in the Midwest. We're right in the middle of, so close to Chicago and Indianapolis and Michigan and Cleveland and everything. We're right here in the middle, so we're a good place for fans from all over the Midwest could kind of come, So I'm trying to make it to where Ohio is the kind of place that gets, I feel like we're in an underserved market, we get the big pay-per-views and the Dynamites and stuff like that. I feel like we haven't got that the last decade or so. Cincinnati and Dayton have just been kind of another town on the loop, so to speak. So I'd like to return kind of this area to the glory days of this was actually a really big hotbed for wrestling. Another thing I would tell you, on that same note is, like when I first started, HWA was a developmental territory for WWE, and we had the Brian Pillman Memorial shows, which were big legendary shows at Cincinnati Gardens, and there's a lot of history here in the Ohio area. So one thing I'm trying to do is on the independent level, help out with a good friend of mine, my former tag team partner, Sammy Callahan, who's from Ohio here as well. He wrestles for Impact Wrestling. Me and him have been working with Wrestling Revolver, which is another smaller independent promotion where you see a lot of current stars. Myself, Sammy, Wheeler Yuta from the Blackpool Combat Club, guys like that, and future stars who haven't been on TV yet. And we're actually running a show the day after Dynamite. Dynamite's on Wednesday at the Nutter Center, and on Thursday there'll be Wrestling Revolver. It'll be the Calumet Center in Dayton, right up the street. And it'll be a smaller show in a smaller, more intimate venue, and you'll kind of be able to see stars of the future live and in person, and up close and personal in a completely different venue than the big shining lights of the major leagues. It's almost like a totally different atmosphere. I'll be there hosting the event, so you can come and get a picture. We'll have a Coke or something. Come on down. So Wrestling Revolver on Thursday. Definitely check that out. You can find all that about that on online somewhere.
I'll make sure we post that out and push that out. Yeah.
Put it into a search bar somewhere. Wrestling Revolver on Thursday in Dayton. You'll find it. And but the main event is on Wednesday and at the Nutter Center, which is a building that holds a lot of history. Bret Hart won the King of the Ring there in 1993. One of my favorite VHS tapes I ever had when I was a little kid, and been there many times. And we'll step into the ring again, and with a lot of pressure on me because I got my butt whipped last time I was in the ring. So very important for me to not lose at home. That would be very uncool. So I basically can't lose. Or I can't lose in the same week the Bengals lost in Ohio, or I might as well just. Geez, what are we gonna do if that's the case?
So that's
it's a lot of pressure. If we'd have won, if the Bengals would have won, and we were going to Super Bowl, then nobody would have cared whether I won or not. But I'm the last vestige of some kind of success in sports this week, so it's a lot of pressure for me.
Yeah, you're a big Bengals fan. I know actually the last time the Bengals played the Chiefs, you and your wife, you were rulers of the jungle. And I was at that game, and I just remember thinking how cool it was that you were rulers of the jungle. And then I was thinking after the loss last week, they definitely could have used you. Obviously, they were on the road this time, but obviously you're feeling the pain of that Bengals loss too, it seems.
Yeah, they should have had me be the ruler of the jungle again. I could have been in the locker room because we won last time I was there.
Exactly.
They got mad at me, though, because I said, who's the quarterback for the Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah. I said something so not even bad. I said he was gonna pee his pants or something, and they got mad at me. Yeah, I was like, come on, but we won. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? So hey, trying to get that crowd fired up.
Getting the crowd fired up is obviously one of my favorite things when I go to these events, is just feeling the rush. As a fan, I feel the rush of the crowd. I can't imagine. I'm so jealous of you guys. Yes, it's just the wrestling in the ring that's fun to watch. But to me, I think a bucket list would just be to walk to the ring with an entire stadium, an arena of people just looking at you, either cheering you or booing you. And one of my favorite movies growing up was Major League. And of course, with Charlie Sheen coming out of the bullpen to, of course, Wild Thing. And that's what you run out to the ring with. But that was one of the songs I always had on my playlist, to warm up for games or anything, because I just always got that jacked up feeling because of it. That's what you run out to the ring with. And I can't think of a better movie character to compare you to than Wild Thing, Charlie Sheen. So I love your entrance, by the way. That definitely gets the crowd rocking.
Yeah, it works. It took me a while to get used to it, man, because it was none of that was my idea.
It wasn't.
No, it was a long story. Kind of, I don't want to take up too much time, but there's a guy named Sushi Onita, who's a legendary deathmatch Japanese wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people compare me to him. He stole it from the Major League movie in the 90s, and he made it his. And he was known for it. I mean, Kenny did an explosive barbed wire match. So somehow they were gonna somehow it became my music, but like I didn't know until I heard it when I was like coming out, and Tony Khan just thought it would be cool. I was like, yeah, but I had like imposter syndrome with it at first. So I was like, oh, this is not my, like, this is Charlie Sheen's music and Onita's music. This is not my music. Like, I felt like weird about it. Like, but the fans like it. So after I like kind of tried it on for a while, it's kind of like a pair of pants. You got to kind of wear them in and get used to them. And once I kind of got used to it, and you know, after the pandemic ended, we started getting full crowds again and whole arenas going nuts, and fans got into it. Ultimately, this is all about the fans. If the fans like it, I like it. So I started getting used to it. Now it feels like my song. I think nice. I've appropriated it for myself, I think, you know.
You know, with not knowing, you know, I don't pretend to be an industry know-it-all, you know, from your line of work, but you know, from what I think I know, you know, what I read, you know, because what you read in the, you know, in the dirt sheets and everything, you think you know it all, right? Or at least I think I know it all, right? But no, the one thing I always come across is just the, you know, the creative restrictions you had at your previous employer, and seems like you have a lot of creative control here. I know it's ironic considering we just talked about the music that you were kind of forced to adapt to, but you did talk about, hey, if it works for the fans, it works for you. But the creative control, that's what seems to be kind of putting you in position to thrive here in AEW. Talk about just how important that factor, you know, matters, and how that factored into your decision and why that plays such a role in your success right now.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of, you know, it's all kind of culminated, you know, the whole journey, you know, has all kind of culminated with where I'm at right now. And I get the opportunity to basically do whatever I want to do, wrestle however I want to wrestle, say whatever I want to say. Like I have complete freedom to be me. And I'm at a point where if anybody doesn't like it, you know, I'll just tell them to piss off. You know, I don't care. I'm pretty much at a point where you can't mess with me. You know, I'm pretty much you know, at the apex of everything right now. But you know, it's funny. Like the more, especially over the last year, the more I look back at stuff like my entire life is wrestling. Is like all it's ever been. You know, and what wrestling is to you and your relationship with wrestling and your life and how it changes and everything and so forth. And to end up where I'm at right now is like it's great, you know. Yeah. So like I want to take this opportunity like while I'm here, while I still got a few miles left on my body, and just put out as much really cool work as I can, and you know, not worry too much about anybody else's opinions of, you know, what defines success or what defines good or bad or this or that or whatever. I just go out and do me and let the chips fall where they may. And it's a pretty good time. I'm a very, very fortunate individual.
So obviously, you know, it was, I mean, I remember how big a news it was when it was announced that you were leaving WWE and heading to AEW. And, you know, everyone talks about, oh man, like how gutsy of a move that was. It doesn't seem like there's any regrets. It looks like you guys all made the right decision. You're thriving in AEW right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a risk for everybody who, you know, guys like myself and, you know, Jericho and everybody who tied themselves to, you know, kind of me and Chris always joked about like we were just getting in a raft and going down the river. We had no idea what was going to come, you know. It was not guaranteed that this was going to be a success. We didn't know if the show was going to be any good. We didn't know how long it was going to last. I mean, it was all just a shot in the dark, but it really, you know, we all had faith, and you know, it's so important to the business for AEW to be successful, for kind of the sport and the art of it, as well as like for the fans, as well as for the business side of it, you know, for the guys on both sides and in other promotions all around the world, you know, to have the most options and the most leverage and the most, you just have the most fertile business environment. It's good, and just for the sport, for ideas to grow and so forth, it's great. So to be a part of that, that's probably going to be like, if I had a lasting impact on the business, like it would probably be that I helped AEW get off the ground, and I absolutely refuse to let this place ever go to hell. I will ride or die with this place until I won't let it ever go downhill or suck or anything like that. And there's a bunch of people like that. They're going to make sure that this place is awesome. And I think the thing that sets it apart is just and I think what we always have to remember is that it's an alternative. I think the other promotions in the past that have tried to be like they've tried to be the standard, like, kind of WWE formula that's kind of the known, typical, what people in North America think of as Major League Wrestling, and it comes off as WWE light, and it comes off like some kind of AAA baseball or something. And I don't think we should ever be that. I think we should always do the opposite thing, the more subversive thing, the cooler thing. We should always be one step ahead. We should be at the precipice of like what the next big thing in wrestling is. We should always be looking ahead. I think it's important for us to always be an alternative and to see things and people and wrestlers and styles that you wouldn't see anywhere else, that aren't put into a blender and made to be part of a fancy polished product. There's nothing like me, for instance. Like, I don't want anything polished about anything I do. I don't want to overplan it. I don't want to overthink it. I want to make it up as I go along. I want to just go out there on live TV and see what the hell happens. And that brings a certain energy that you don't see in other promotions, And there's a lot of guys like that too, that some of the just like the most amazing high flyers and tag teams and stuff that you see in AEW that are just completely let off the chain and let them do whatever crazy thing they can think up in their mind. Go out there and do it, and just try to catch it on camera if we can. So it's pretty. It's fun to be a part of.
All right, good stuff, John. Appreciate your time, sir. Take care.
All right, totally.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, Greg McAfee here from McAfee Heating and Air. Inflation is hurting families. Gas and food prices continue to soar, but skilled trade jobs are paying at an all-time high rate. Why keep working for less? If you are experienced in HVAC, have a great attitude, love serving people, and enjoy working hard, apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated.
especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell and Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell and Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Dayton area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Get up to $3,500 today when you file your taxes at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be clear and sunny, a high near 30. Tonight's going to be partly cloudy and cold, a low near 20. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 40. I'm Pete Spy, back for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com.
The hottest ticket in town. On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever, AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley.
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
The AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya.
I am the revolution.
Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole. The Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live.
Oh my God!
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third-shift dispatcher/customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, over-designed, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy!
Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Last night, Dayton Flyers in action. They were able to hold off Loyola in overtime at the arena, of course, and a win is a win. And Norm and I, who's in studio with me now, Norm Greavy, former Dayton Flyer, the one thing you and I talked about during the commercial break, Norm, was Well, there's not many games this season where if you said that Duran was going to have one of his worst games of the year, there's not many. If Duran doesn't have a good game, the Flyers don't win. The Flyers found a way to win last night. They put a ton of points up on the board. I know it's a last place Loyola team, but we saw big games, a big performance from Malachi Smith and Tumani Kamara, of course, stepping up as well. This went from a season where it was Duran and Duran only to now getting healthier, getting their legs back underneath them. All of a sudden, it's not just the Duran home show. It's that depth that really put them in position to be that top 25S team coming into the season. But I know some people want to focus on the fact that it's a last place team, but what I saw was a team that was able to overcome some guys not having their best nights and guys stepping up when other guys weren't. So interesting night at the arena last night. Were you there?
Yes, late. I got there in the second half, and great run by the Flyers in overtime. I thought they played really, offensively right now. Things starting to be clicking a little bit.
Yep.
Justin, 80 and 85, 165 points in 2 games. I think we need what we need to do now is have that offense, have that pace, have that intensity on defense, or at least improve that a little bit, and carry that over to the road, because right now it's all about road play coming down the stretch with 8 league games left, 6 on the road. But credit to the Flyers, back-to-back tremendous offensive games after a tough loss on the road to Rhode Island. So they turned the keys over to Malachi, and we're 2-0 with him starting in the lineup.
Yeah, again, Malachi Smith, just a few games back, with the Flyers since coming back from that injury that looked a lot worse than what it actually ended up being. And luckily, the Flyers do get him back, and they get him back in enough time for him to be able to kind of get his legs back underneath, get some momentum going. We're already in the month of February. March, not too far off in the distance. February, the shortest month of the year, of course. So if last night was a sign of things to come, of course, some people, there's still deficiencies, yes, but seeing that 80-plus points put up on the board is a sign. That's a good sign. Seeing Malachi Smith pop off for 20-plus points, that's a good thing. Tumani Kamara stepping up the way that he did. That night where, when they play like a VCU or a Davidson or, whoever, and everyone's clicking at one time, I mean, that's that dangerous team that we could see come A-10 tournament time. But
21 assists and 1 turnover for Malachi in the last 2 games. That's an incredible stat. It's like a 10-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, or a 10 to 0.5. Assist to turnover ratio, which is insane. And you're seeing him able to penetrate defenses. He's starting to get confident with the 3, and that just adds a whole new dimension to our offense if we have a point guard that can shoot. Kobe Elvis, too, has been very impressive, shooting about 65-70% from the 3 in the last couple of games. Another game with 4 threes. Kobe Berea the night before, against Richmond had a 6 of 7 from 3-point line. So the 3-point shooting has really improved, and you add Malachi with that, and I think that frees up Mike too. Now they're playing those two together, and I think Mike can now be more confident offensively without worrying about fouling and getting in foul trouble. Because when we only had 8 guys with Brady Ewell, really 7 guys, he had to protect himself during the games. He couldn't attack. So I think seeing Mike build his confidence, getting 18 minutes a game, that's perfect for him. And I think you're adding a lot of weapons to this team when they're playing with confidence. And I saw that the last 2 games. They're playing with the confidence and the swagger, I guess, the mental edge. They're starting to develop that mental edge as a team. And, they have to get mentally tough, because playing on the road next 6 of 8 games is going to be the real test for the Flyers.
And you talk about that test coming up and what they're up against right now. At this point, 10 games into A-10 play, 7-3 in conference play. Now they're 1 game back of VCU, who's sitting at the top, and St. Louis right there quietly doing their own thing as well. They're a half game back of VCU, but that's where Dayton is. And then how about Fordham? It just sounds weird. I mean, Fordham right now, of course, they have a Darius Quisenberry,
yes,
a local kid as well, who I got to watch when he was at Youngstown
Great
State
athlete.
for a little bit. He
Doing
left.
well.
He's doing real good at Fordham. I thought it was interesting that that's where he ended up transferring to, but Fordham kind of turned things around pretty quickly. Can they sustain it? We'll find that out here in the back half of A-10 play, but that's what the Flyers have going for them. But let me ask you, just because I know that you're not going to have your best game every single night, But we see like Richmond's a prime example. Like that was their best game of the season as far as just punching an opponent in the face from the time the game started and all the way to the very end. And they put 80+ points up on the board last night, obviously letting last place Loyola hang around longer than what they probably should. But why is there such a gap between them being on and off? I mean, hopefully we start to see that gap kind of shrink a little bit as we get, further along here. But why do you think that is such a thing with this team? Because we know what they're capable of, but so many times they kind of have these off nights where they just don't seem to have it. It's strange because you never know what you're going to get with this team.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back before the Richmond game, before these last two games, where I think right now, to answer your question, we're kind of clicking now offensively. Guys are getting their swag. But that being said, on the road, we had two very poor, boring, lackadaisical, no enthusiasm road games back to back. It's very important to go to St. Bonnie in a heated gym in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Literally in a part of New York that's not very busy. And, you got to go and focus. And it's a big game because St. Bonnie just beat, was it St. Louis or VCU the other night? Huge upset. And so we're catching them at home off a big road win. I think Fordham's a dangerous squad, but we won there. And that may have been our best game of the year for
VCU. St. Bonaventure over VCU.
St. Bonnie just beat
Saturday
VCU.
Night, yep.
So we control our destiny and can win outright. We got St. Louis twice. We finished the year at their place, and we got VCU coming up next week. Got to go to St. Bonnie. So we got two road games back to back. Got to go to Loyola again. So it's an unfavorable schedule coming down the stretch for the Flyers. Very well coached teams at VCU and St. Louis. Coach Ford and Anthony are rivals, even though they're buddies. And those two teams dislike each other. In our league, VCU, for some reason, has a little bit of a mental edge on us, but I don't think St. Louis has a mental edge on the Flyers. I think that's been proven. It's a heated rivalry. Kind of reminds me, not as intense as the Xavier rivalry back when we played, but I think the league has improved too. It got a lot of bad publicity for some of their poor losses, but those teams have improved because I love the coaching in the A10. You got Coach Miller. You have the coach at UMass is new. I think Valentine at Loyola is going to get Chicago guys. I think the coaching is on the upswing. And granted, Dayton hasn't started off and have had some droughts, and it's unexplainable why we have droughts. But I see the chemistry improving. I'm seeing guys now finding their roles and, moving Elvis, I think, into the lineup's great, and Malachi and, Duran's struggling a little bit right now. They're just being physical with him, and they're making other guys beat us. And we've responded in a positive way.
Yeah. And, you real quick, you talked about St. Louis, and we talked about, Fordham just a moment ago on last night, a 10-point win at home. Fordham had St. Louis on their home floor. You talked about that, how tough it is to go on the road and play. I know Fordham, we don't want to believe it, that they're a top team in this, conference right now, but they had St. Louis come into town and they beat them by 10. Darius Quisenberry had 27 points last night. And he was, he's on it right now. Darius Quisenberry has been a big time difference maker there, but they knocked off St. Louis last night at home. And that's one reason why they're a half game out. St. Louis would be tied for first right now at the top.
Yeah. And St. Louis and VCU, St. Louis and VCU play Friday.
Yep.
On national TV. That's that Friday night A10 thing they have going, which is great. I think with CBS Sports Network. And that's a heck of a game. That's going to be for outright first place. And I forget where that's at. I think it's at VCU. I can't confirm. That's going to be a heck of a game.
But it's at St. Louis. So VCU at St. Louis on Friday night.
Yeah, VCU plays Friday night and then has to come back and play Dayton on Tuesday. That's a disadvantage for them because all their energy is on Friday night. That's a quick turnaround to Tuesday on a weekend. So I think Dayton's going to come in with the eye of the tiger, knowing that they let one slip away at home. So I see Dayton with the mental edge that game. And, then we have to play St. Louis twice. And, you hope that some of these guys slip up, and they have. It's, we thought we had 7-3. We were in trouble, or 5-3 in the league. We were in trouble. Now we're right back in the race. The thing of it is, the league's got improved, Justin, and there's like 4 or 5 teams behind Dayton that are almost 500 records. And, a month ago, they were all under 500. You're seeing Richmond's now near 500. Davidson's now one of the bottom 3 teams in the league. George Mason's improved. George Washington's right there. St. Bonnie's right there with a huge win over VCU.
So, and obviously with the league improving as far as like with the records and stuff, with the A10, like, we're used to seeing this this conference be a multi-bid conference. And
it's been a 3-team bid for years. Now it's down to 1 or 2. And I'm disappointed in that. I don't think it's their fault.
So, with that, like usually you kind of get, if you do get that second team, and sometimes it's a bid stealer because, the number 1 team usually doesn't win the conference tournament. So then you get that one team with the auto bid and everything along those lines. But, why do you see you said not their fault, but what is it about the conference why have they taken a step back? Because I do like the coaching in the conference. Obviously, you have your traditional powers there at the top with VCU, and now St. Louis, of course. Dayton's always up there as well. And you look at this. I like the addition of Loyola. I was kind of a little shocked at how poor the transition has been as far as them not making an immediate impact. But I like Valentine. I think Loyola, with all the, NCAA tournament success that they've had and the growth of that program and transitioning into the A10, obviously it's always tough when you move up into a bigger conference. I don't know how long it's going to take before they start getting back in the swing of things, but I like the conference. Why is it taking us, like every year, it just seems like it's taking a step back. Why is that?
That's a good question. I think I hate to keep bringing 220, but 2020 COVID year, you had a number 1 seed out of that conference, but let's just take that year away.
Yep.
Okay. And I think St. Louis was going to be in that year. And I'm sure there was another team, Davidson, probably VCU. So we're just 2 years removed with 4 teams that were going to be in that tournament. It's a good question. I don't know. I think some of these teams have underperformed, like UMass has underperformed. St. Bonnie, the transfer portal killed them. The whole roster left after being A10, winning the A10 and then being picked to repeat, and the team blew up. Now everybody's gone and they're in rebuild again. You see Rhode Island, they haven't been in a tournament in years. They've completely underperformed.
They came into last season with top 25 expectations, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember they had Lamar Odom on that team, and I remember they had some scoring guards that were nasty that played in the NBA, and they've just not been able to recruit New York. George Mason's underperformed. They went to the NCAA Final Four with Larinaga, and it's been just a below average basketball program. So it's a good question. I don't know. I don't have the answer for it, but I think Dayton's trying to do their part, and VCU and St. Louis, but the other teams have been very inconsistent. Very inconsistent.
Justin Kinner, former Flyer Norm Greavy, with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Dayton winners last night in overtime. Loyola 85-81 at UD Arena. Dayton improves to 15-8 on the season, 7-3 in conference play. In fact, in the A10, sitting in third place, 1 game out of first place. Of course, we look back at that big-time matchup of VCU. Of course, UD will have a couple other opportunities, some big opponents coming up. I mean, they're not out of this thing, not by a long shot. And the thing is, the fact that they're only a game out, considering they've had the up-and-down plays, they've tried to get this roster healthy again. The fact that they've been up and down and are only a game out, and they're starting to show that improvement. Malachi had his best game of the season last night, and if he grows on that, I mean, look out. This team could end up doing exactly, despite at times fans getting down on the team for the performance throughout the season. When it's all said and done, this could be the number 1 team when it's all said and done out of the A10. So it's going to be interesting.
Talent level, they're the best team in the league.
Not even close. Yeah. It's not like
and St. Louis has deficiencies shooting the basketball. They play at a very slow pace now, even worse than what UD has been up except for the last 2 games. One of the slowest paces in the country, with a point guard that leads the A10 assists that cannot shoot.
Yep.
They only, he can't make a 3. They have extreme deficiencies. And then VCU, I think, like I said, they've got a little bit of a mental thing on Dayton, but they're very beatable. They're beatable. They're not a great shooting team. They just play fast and quick, and you can't turn the basketball over against them, and you got to bury them inside, and we didn't bury them inside in the second half, and we played with slow pace, and they were the attackers, so we have to change that up.
All right, Justin Kinner, former Flyer Norm Greavy. We'll be back with you here in just a moment. You want to give us a call, 518-1410. Don't go anywhere.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
The Flowerman here with our annual Valentine's Day tradition. A dozen roses for $12.99. That's incredible. A dozen roses, only $12.99. So beautiful. I'm starting to tear up. A dozen roses for Valentine's, only $12.99. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner for my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. When I want a great steak, I head to Fairfield Commons for not only a great meal, but a great experience. There is nothing more fun than cooking your own steak on a 755-degree sizzling volcanic rock. There's always a unique experience waiting for you at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And this month, you can celebrate with an exclusive that I am really excited about. Bourbon aficionados, listen up. Black Rock Bar and Grill now has a supply of Eagle Rare, and it's available right now while supplies last. Produced and distilled by Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare bourbons are some of the most sought-after bottles on the market. Aged for no less than 10 years, each barrel used to age Eagle Rare is hand-selected to offer consistent flavor from batch to batch, but also to showcase each batch's unique flavors and aromas. And right now, you can enjoy Eagle Rare at Black Rock, but only while supplies last. Stop in for lunch, dinner, or an after-work break. Remember, it's only at Black Rock. Celebrate with Eagle Rare bourbon while you can, and please drink responsibly.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
The hottest ticket in town.
On Wednesday, February 1st, for the first time ever,
Oh, wow.
AEW Dynamite and Rampage make their way to the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio.
Honorable mention, listen to the play.
This promises to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Don't miss Ohio's own John Moxley,
Get in the ring with me. It's dangerous as all hell.
the AEW World Champion MJF,
I'm a generational talent.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Saraya,
I am the revolution.
Brian Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jamie Hayter, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim,
Everyone loves the Acclaim.
Hook, Hangman Page, Jade, Tony Storm, Adam Cole, the Lucha Brothers, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society,
And that's entertainment.
and many more will be there live.
Oh, my God.
Don't miss AEW Live at the Nutter Center. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
So I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while. And I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do. And everybody just said surgery. And surgery was months of rehab. And I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics 937-936-0325.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What makes us different? We have a state-of-the-art dealership offering experienced service, parts, and body shop. In fact, we are the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. That makes it easy for you. With experienced, tenured professionals ready to answer your questions and diagnose your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Update your bathroom with help from Menards. A brand new Magic Woods vanity is the perfect addition to your bathroom. Magic Woods offers innovative, trend-setting styles to match your lifestyle. With many sophisticated styles to choose from, it's easy to find the right vanity for you. Right now, save big money on vanities from Magic Woods. Plus, check out all the great deals going on now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Justin Kinner, former Dayton Flyer. Norm Greavy with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, and that's where you can watch the show live. Kevin Nash and I, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, or on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. That's where you could watch the show live, be a part of the conversation. We take the comments that you leave in the chat section, we pull them into the show. Your profile picture pops up on the screen, and we get to interact with you that way. Hey, it's Justin Kinner for my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. When I want a great steak, I head to Fairfield Commons for not only a great meal, but a great experience. There's nothing more fun than cooking your own steak on a 755-degree sizzling volcanic rock. There's always a unique experience waiting for you at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And this month, you can celebrate with an exclusive that I'm super excited about. Bourbon aficionados, listen up. Black Rock Bar and Grill now has a supply of Eagle Rare. It's available right now while supplies lasts. Produced and distilled by Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare bourbons are some of the most sought-after bottles on the market, aged for no less than 10 years. Each barrel used to age Eagle Rare is hand-selected to offer consistent flavor from batch to batch, but also to showcase each batch's unique flavors and aromas. And right now, you can enjoy Eagle Rare at Black Rock, but only while supplies last. Stop in for lunch, dinner, or an after-work break. Remember, it's only at Black Rock. Celebrate with Eagle Rare bourbon while you can, and please drink responsibly. We welcome you back again. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Always love when Norm Greavy stops by, and he'll do so every Wednesday between now and, of course, the end of the Dayton Flyers season, which hopefully isn't until deep into March, Norm. But Norm, every week when you come by and hang out with us, your visit, of course, brought to you by, well, a company I think you're familiar with, Wealth Management Group over in Springboro, right? You're familiar with that.
Yes.
I think it's your business.
Yes.
It's your business. So
yes, 30 years. 30 years. So we do everything from 401k rollovers to IRAs to helping people with income. It's been a good.
Do you help people that have little income?
All the people making money on DraftKings now, you know where to go.
FanDuel is where I lose all my money. FanDuel is where I lose all my money.
FanDuel.com.
So there you go. Yes, it's the number one America's #1 sportsbook, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Again, Norm and I talking about Dayton's big overtime win last night against Loyola. It's back-to-back wins for the Flyers after that ugly loss last week on the road against Archie Miller's Rhode Island squad. But since then, they just destroyed Richmond this past Saturday. That's a game that I know you were at. I saw you and Noel Sully from Talking Out Loud. You guys were enjoying a beverage together.
Yes, we were. We even took a picture together. I'm going to frame it. No, we it was actually a good time. I was standing there I was with Andy Meyer and Ryan Perryman. We all went to the game together. He comes in town for a few games a year, Ryan Perryman, and he was a great player. And you always feel safe when I'm standing next to Ryan and Andy Meyer. I felt very safe.
So that obviously the big game against Richmond on Saturday, Deron Holmes, 17 points, 9 rebounds, a huge performance from him. And, usually there's a direct correlation between when he has monster games, Dayton has monster wins. That's usually what happens. But usually what does not happen, the Flyers have not won a game this season when he scores less than 10 points. Well, that streak ended last night. I'm not saying it's a good thing that he finished with less than 10 points, but there's not been any proof this season that they can win basketball games unless he is the catalyst, unless he is the guy. Last night, Norm struggled, 4 points, turned the ball over 3 times. He did have 3 fouls. He did 7 rebounds, a couple of assists. He had 4 block shots. Again, he's found ways to remain active and remain, putting a thumbprint on the game. Obviously, not his best scoring game, wasn't his best game of the season. I'm not bringing that up to harp on it. I'm bringing that up because, again, he has that performance a month ago. Dayton's not winning a basketball game, and we've seen the monster performances that he has had throughout the season, in the upper 20s for a solid stretch where Dayton was going on that huge win streak, throughout that middle point of the season. But just talk about, obviously, Deron Holmes. We talk about him each and every week, but, last week against Rhode Island, he had the 19-point performance with 5 rebounds to have a shot to beat Rhode Island, but then dominates against Richmond, struggled last night. But as we talked about, the most important thing, Flyers came away with the win.
Well, we're scoring more points, 80 and 85. So everybody's getting more of an opportunity to score, and I think that's a good thing. We had 4 guys, I think, last night in double figures. Amzale had 11, Kobe Berea, Malachi 21, and Kamara 31, and a career high. And Malachi had a career high. So I mean, it's great to see. We're going to become much harder to guard. I think earlier in midseason when we went on our 8-game run, it was just to Deron the whole game. Even on the road, I think we get bogged down sometimes just going to Deron and guys standing, waiting for the kick out. And, that's just not great offense. But you had to do what you had to do because he was the one guy that was hot. And but I think teams are being more physical with him now, and he has to keep composure, stay out of foul trouble. I think he can improve his shot blocking. I think that's what the scouts want to see him do, is get better at shot blocking. There's not a lot of low post ISOs in the NBA. You got to be able to pick and roll for the dunk. You got to be able to get on the break and run the floor crazy, and you have to be able to shot block. The great ones, and I think he can do all 3, but the shot blocking somewhere he has to improve. But the great ones will have the level 4 where they can pick and pop.
Yep.
And, that's not his game. It's not many guys' games, that can run the floor and that are shot blockers. So I think he just needs to keep improving. If I were to say one thing, I think he needs to get down on the block lower. He's being pushed off the block right now. And, sometimes they'll miss him when he's open or he has to wait. I see the ball moving a lot better. But, at Rhode Island and GW, there wasn't a lot of good ball movement. We were timid offensively. I don't see that right now. Now, that needs to carry to the road, like we said. The offense has to travel. We don't want to be in 60 to 65-point grindouts. That probably will be the St. Louis game. But we want to run. I think we have the athletes. We have the bench now. And that's going to be less opportunities for Deron, but it'll also free him up for kick downs and pick and roll lobs. And I think we can implement that more than just the low post option for him. He's capable of hitting the elbow jumper. And like you said, teams are taking one or the other away. They're going to double Duran, and then Tamani has a great opportunity to score. Like he had 27 or 9 or 29 against VCU, but he had 9 turnovers. The great thing last night was he had 31 and limited the turnovers dramatically. So he's improving. He's very confident, and I think NBA level body. He has an NBA body. I've talked to Scout. He's got an NBA body. Just has to improve his ball handling, get a little more consistent with the jumper from downtown, and he hits a couple 3 threes last night. So we're becoming a much more versatile, balanced group, and that's going to be tougher for teams to defend.
Outside of Duran, the most important player on this Flyer team is who? And that's not to take anything away from any player on this roster, but as far as this team goes, as we know this team goes as Duran goes, but Duran needs that second tier punch. He needs that Batman and Robin. So the Robin is who? Which player is the most important for the Flyers outside of Duran Holmes in regards to giving them the best shot to win this A10 and to give him a shot to win the A10 tournament to get to the tournament?
For me, it's no question Malachi Smith. The keys have been handed. We're 2-0 with him starting. Granted, he played 25 minutes against Rhode Island, but he was off the bench. Different atmosphere. He's the leader of the team. He's the vocal leader on the team. He's the coach on the floor. He pressures the ball. He can get into the paint, and he's getting his legs back more so than I've seen all year. He was not healthy at the beginning of the year from his injury and after a red-white game, blue-red game. So I would say Malachi is the most important guy outside of Duran. And then I'll say this. College basketball is all about guard play. And you're seeing now that Malachi's in the offense. You're seeing Kobe Elvis. We've gone 80 and 85 back-to-back. So guard play is what affected us on the road. Early in the year, we didn't have Kobe Berea. Kobe was sick, and then you had Kobe Elvis injured. We lost our guards. To be 15 and 8 is almost a miracle to me. But yes, we've had some tough losses on the road, primarily because of guard play. If our guard play improves, Justin, the sky's the limit for this team. That means shooting the basketball well, getting out in transition, making easy baskets. Mike coming in, being more aggressive. You got Malachi getting into the paint now. Kobe Berea hitting threes every night. Don't go 6 threes on Saturday and then, off the next. Even though you're one hell of a shooter, bring it every night. We need threes every night.
What do you know about threes?
And Berea's and Kobe Elvis is 11 for 16 in his last 3 or 4 games. The 3-point percentage has gone from 31 2 weeks ago to 34 now. We've increased by 100 points, 100 teams. We were like 300 and something ranked in 3-point shooting. Now we're like in the 150s.
How about that Richmond game? Starting out like with the 1 for 11, and then they just, that was pretty unique because it's one thing to have a bad 3-point shooting team that, has a good game, but you don't usually see a team start out that cold and then be equally as hot like that. Like that was just, everything that they threw up on Saturday that, talked about you being at that game, but everything that they threw up that day, it just, they could not miss, but they could miss
6
a lot.
of 7 threes for Berea. Kobe Berea, 6 of 7. And he still had 10 minutes left. I was starting to count. Man, the record here is 9. I think I know the guy that has the record. 9. I think I know him. And I started wondering, oh my gosh, 3 more and he's got 9.
You were in attendance.
I've had the record for 32 years, Justin, and let me tell you something. I've cherished every moment of it.
It's actually not bad considering the way the game's played today. You were just ahead of your time. That's the thing. Norm Gravy, you were just well ahead of your time back in the day when it came.
Sean on at 8 for 8, so that was a heck of a record too. 8 for 8, still an NCAA record, I think.
You talked about Malachi Smith being that guy. Last week, you had an interesting take that you want to see more of Malachi, and this isn't a shot at Mike, but less of Mike just because in those high leverage moments, we've seen kind of Mike, at times make some key mistakes, and that's just the freshman in him. That's not him being a bad player, but we've seen the balance. It was not so much about playing more, but starting. But we saw Mike start, and I think you're going to see the lineups kind of adjust and change as guys get more healthy. But I didn't see who started last night. Who started did Mike start last night?
Last night it was I'm pretty sure MZL came off the bench.
Okay.
RJ Blakely only played 18 minutes. He may be a little hurt. I'm not for sure. And, offensively, with him not able to be a great 3-point shooter right now, I'm not trying to criticize. I just think that's not his strength. He's our defensive stopper.
Yep.
And he's a slasher. So with Elvis and Berea shooting the ball very well, and you got to get Mike his minutes because I think he gives us, Malachi a rest. I'll say this about Mike. It's important that these 18 minutes that he plays are high level 18 minutes. Now he can condense his game into 18 minutes and be more attack mode, use his size. He had a great look away last night. He's looking for the three. I like him being more offensive minded. It'll make him a better player. And he's experienced now. He should be a sophomore based upon his playing time. And a lot of times you get to February, that's when you become a freshman to a sophomore. The freshman mistakes should be out of his blood now. And he held the fort for us. So I give him credit for that. And he was in the midst of a 7-game win streak.
During that absence.
Yeah. So kudos to Mike, but I think he just needs to play at a high level for those 18 minutes. That's his new role. Embrace it. Malachi, there's going to be a game in these next 6-8 games on the road. He's going to get 2 quick fouls. We're going to need him for 15 minutes the rest of the half.
And those moments could come A-10 tournament.
It could
NCAA
come Saturday
tournament.
at St. Bonnie. You just don't know, and that's what I'm talking about on the road, being 100% locked in, not physically, but mentally. And when teams have a mental focus on the road and play with a purpose, you're hard to beat. You're going to compete. Obviously, turnovers, Justin, are key. Field goal percentage is key, and rebounds. Those are the 3 stats. When you look at a stat sheet, Don, every coach I played with, they looked at 3 things. Field goal percentage, what are we shooting, what are they shooting? Rebounds, who's winning the rebound war, and who's winning the turnover war. And if you can win 2 of those 3 stat lines, you're going to win almost 80-90% of the time.
Dayton Flyers, our next game. They'll be on the road at St. Bonaventure. In fact, it's coming up this Saturday. It'll be 8 o'clock tip-off on ESPNU. So they got a big one coming up this weekend. And then even after that, VCU coming up around the corner. St. Louis, they got some big matchups coming up. Again, 3rd in the A10. We'll close out our Dayton Flyers talk here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We have former Flyer Norm Greavy with us here in studio. And this studio it smells like hot wings. Thanks to Larry at Milano's. And
Those are great wings.
We got some pizza in the studio as well, by the way. I shared the wings. I haven't shared the pizza. I'm sharing the pizza. I just haven't brought the pizza. But shout out to Larry at Milano's, by the way, because Norm doesn't come around unless we're giving him some wings.
Food or beer, I guess, right?
So back, Mark Schlemmer back in the day, rest in peace, by the way. I miss him every day. But he always said, hey, he goes, let's call Greavy. We'll get Greavy in here. All you got to do is just dangle some wings in front of him, and he'll come following from a mile away.
Right. Like Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. There wasn't a wing he couldn't eat,
Are the Flyers getting any big men? Are they getting any big guys? He calls every once in a while, by the way. I'm surprised he hasn't called during this stretch, to be honest with you.
Dayton's involved in a lot of good players right now. I don't know. There's a Canadian we're looking at. We signed a guy from Florida. So 6'7" athlete forward, pretty high ranked. It's
Mike from Xenia. That he never disappointed when he called.
We have some scholarships open.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Because you're Mr. Scholar, you know all the information. There you go. Hey, we'll be right back. 518-1410. Give us a call, or of course on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Let your questions come in through the comment section there. We'll be right back.
This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now during Staples Sit-a-thon, select chairs are more than 50% off. Like the leather Vortex gaming chair, now just $119.99 at Staples. You save $140. Plus get 2 2-ounce bottles of Purell hand sanitizer, free with the Staples Connect app. So take a seat or 2. Right now at Staples, the working, learning, and saving store. Offers end 2/4. Share offer valid in-store and online. Purell Limit 2, in-store only, while supplies last.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about a Govix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You want more Buckeye coverage, and now you've got...
That little audio piece said, you want more Buckeye coverage. No, nobody wants more Buckeye coverage right now. We're talking Dayton Flyers. Former Flyer Norm Greavy with us here live in studio. The Justin Kinder Show with Kevin Nash here on 1410 WING. Again, I want to shout out Milano's again. Larry and Milano's, he dropped off some food a little bit ago. You know, I always think everyone leaves the building, and then all of a sudden they drop off food in the office, and everyone all of a sudden wants to come hang out at my office. I'm like, no. Those are Norm's wings. I had to fight people off. So you better enjoy those wings. I had to fight people off for you to get those wings.
They're very good.
Yeah. Norm, only a couple more minutes remaining here, but an article on ESPN came out a little bit ago saying, is it time for a 24-second shot clock in men's college basketball?
24-second?
Yep.
No, I think the shot clock's fine where it's at.
So I guess Jamie Dixon was asked about it and gone on, and he said he was asked about the idea of a 24-second shot clock in men's Division I basketball. And he said, I think it's coming. Again, the head coach at TCU. He goes, I've been saying that for years. Dixon has talked about, of course, his experience with the shorter clock. He coached Team USA to a gold medal at the 2021, FIBA Under-19 Basketball World Cup. And he just said that's where every level of basketball is at that 24-second shot clock. And if you're going to have it, have it at the same level of everyone else. But your thoughts?
Well, I don't, that's a lot of pace. You're going to have more possessions. You can have more injuries. It's more wear and tear on your subs. You got to have more depth. You got to have better decision making. The NBA players are the best in the world, so they can make a great decision in 24 seconds. Easy. College, you got a coach coaching you up for a good shot. I just don't see it. Now I like women's basketball with the quarters, and I enjoy high school basketball with quarters. You can readjust. I know with TV, who knows, but there's a 16, 12, 8, and 4 TV timeout in college basketball. I don't see that going away anytime soon for the money, but somehow or another, they can do a 15, 10, 5 in 1 minute. I don't know how they would do it, but I do like the quarters. I think it would be kind of neat to see in college basketball. Elam ending would be great, but that's not going to happen with all the rules and the purity of college in terms of scoring records and stuff.
The Elam ending is so dang unique, and as much as I love it, I don't want it in college basketball.
I agree.
I get I don't know. I'm as I get older, I'm gonna sound like one of them funny.
I love that
daddies
they
or
do it
leave
in the All-Star game.
alone,
It's
but
great.
Yeah, but it's like, but I've never seen something that works so well that leads to nothing but exciting finishes. No one ever complains about it, but I've never experienced something that works, that gets exactly the results you want. It creates exciting finishes, but yet we still don't want it. I don't know why. I think it's just because now leave the game. We sound like baseball folks now. Leave the game alone. Well, sure, it improves the sport, but who cares? Leave the game alone.
It seemed like every game we called, whoever was in the lead in the Elam ending would lose.
Because the pressure of, when you're up by a lot, but like the pressure of holding off an opponent, at times closes that gap. And then you have a team who's just kind of playing with house money at that point where they're just heaving up shots, trying to come back. But yeah, we've called those TBT games.
And the Flyers were down a lot of the times, and the target score was, they had you have a target score. It's like 7 points above the lead. So if you're down 7 or 8, if it's 80 to 73, the target score will be like 87, 88, and you have to go on a run. You have to go on a run, and like you say, the other team, they still have to play. They can't just hold the ball because there's no clock other than a shot clock. It's unbelievable, but it wouldn't fit in college. I could see it maybe I wouldn't mind seeing it in like a Bahamas tournament, some unique thing, but they're not going to do it in a regular season game. It just won't happen.
So Dixon, TCU, and again, he's just the main point of this article. But he says, during their practices, he goes, we practice with 24 seconds in the summer and in the fall and at various points throughout the season because he wants his team to play fast. He wants his team to, at times,
which I think is great.
They get complacent. He goes, they think they have so much time, so then they hold on to the ball. But this way, it forces the ball movement. And then when you do get into a game with a 30-second clock, you're still playing at a more efficient pace, and you have more time to play out of a jam if you get into one. I don't mind it, but I do know what you're talking about as far as it's going to lead to more turnovers. It's going to make the game look sloppy. College basketball is younger now than what it used to be. So you have a lot of inexperienced players. You also have a lot of players that even if they are older, they're going to a new program, learning a new offense, learning the way things were. It just, you might make the game more sloppy, but I do think at some point it probably will go to that.
Probably eventually in years to come. I don't see it anytime soon. I think the shot clock's fine. I really do. I just think teams should play faster. I think Dayton is finally playing faster now with Malachi and getting the keys, 80 and 85 back-to-back games. But 60 points.
I hope that continues because they were hard to watch for a while.
60 points in a college game, you put yourself, every team that you play can beat you because you're forcing so much pressure on your defense.
That 40-40 game against Wisconsin, that set basketball back like 100 years. But, you're going to.
Yeah, I played on a team that averaged 90 a game, and we knew that teams weren't going to be able to score. We had to play the worst defense in the world to lose a certain team.
Schlemmer told me.
And we'd find a way, but, teams didn't want to play at that pace, and with the shot clock, they're forced to. You can press, the 3-point line.
Shot clock, you're definitely a 24-second shot clock. That press is definitely going on. I mean, even if, by the time you get set up in your half-court offense, you're going to have about 15 seconds. Now, I'm assuming it doesn't take 9 seconds to break the press, but if you hold them onto either way, you're talking about 18 seconds then.
And most teams coach a reversal. Like in college, they want to see the ball go from one side of the court. The great teams can do it 2 or 3 times in a possession. Poor basketball teams may only get one reversal or none, because the easiest thing to guard is the strong hand, the right side. Teams drive 80% to the right. The defense is already there. If you just get the ball one swing to the left side of the floor, that makes 5 guys move, and lefties have an advantage because they drive left. Get all the lefties. Get Marcus Johnson. I don't know who else was a left. Was Paul Williams? We had a bunch of lefties when Brian Gregory was here. We had a bunch of lefties, and it was unique because they would drive, and defenses were completely off guard.
You still have that strong side of the floor, but the lefties, their
just
strong
like George
side is
Mason's
the left
guy,
side. Yep.
Or George Washington's guy that had a monster game, the leading scorer in the A10.
I don't know
went
why we
left
forgot his
every
name.
time
Yes,
down the court.
Allen Iverson looking dude. Yes. He was unbelievable.
So big game Saturday, and then got to get 2. There's no fooling around. and you got to bring your game to the road, bring the offense, bring the energy.
By the way, I forgot to say the biggest star of the game last night, TV Teddy. When the hell did they put him in the A-10? Did he get fired from the Big Ten?
I don't think he's doing any Big Ten games anymore.
But he was, oh yeah, he's interesting. I know a lot of coaches that just aren't too fond of him, but so he's down in the A-10 now, huh? I haven't noticed him do any A-10 games till last night. I was like, hey, why do I reckon? I'm like, I just noticed the very extra stuff he does. And then I was like, oh, that's TV Teddy. I was telling a friend of mine last night, we were watching the game. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, he's the show.
Purdue Penn State tonight.
He is the
They'll
the
be,
show.
Zach Edey. Speaking of officials, he if he gets in foul trouble in a game, they're going to struggle. But I do think Purdue has proven and shown that they're the best team in college basketball, and I think Kansas looked dynamite against UK, even though UK played a very good game. Tennessee, I'm not sold on Tennessee, but I think they have. Coach Barnes is a great coach. I think this could be a year they make the Final Four. I think the SEC is loaded. Bama was top ranked, I thought, and had a hiccup.
Vulnerable late, yeah.
Houston's had a hiccup. God, who beat them? Temple. So college basketball is very balanced. You get past Purdue, it's a crapshoot. A 5 seed, a 4 seed easily can win the national title this year.
All right, folks, that wraps it up for us here today. Norm, always appreciate you. Now let's see how many games do they have between now and next Wednesday. We're talking about 2 Flyer wins. They got St. Bonaventure, and when is that?
VCU.
Is that
you got to get a sweep on the road here and put yourself on the map and chalk up and really get the swag going for the A-10 title. They control their destiny. You're probably going to split with St. Louis. We were talking, I think 14-4 wins that league outright. And, they're at right now 7-3. So they got to go 7-1 in this last stretch. And that's going to be very tough with 6 of 8 games on the road. That's a tall task, but it can be done. And they just got to stay healthy and keep moving the ball and run like a devil, man, and get the points on the board.
Yep. Again, the Flyers at St. Bonaventure on Saturday, 8 p.m. tip-off. That's an ESPNU game, and then they'll be on the road again at VCU. We know how great of a game that was, and that wasn't a great finish, of course, but it was obviously a very good basketball game. And then the Flyers will return home on the 10th. They'll be on ESPN2, and that'll be against St. Louis. So these next 3 games are crucial, and 2 of the next 3 on ESPNU and ESPN2. And then after that St. Louis game, Norm, they're
week off, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then they're going to be at Loyola, at UMass. Then they got George Mason at home, LaSalle at home. And then they close out the regular season at St. Louis. And that could be
for something big.
So, all right, folks. Norm, appreciate you
Thank you
as always.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we're talking about 2 Flyer wins when you come back.
Let's hope.
All
Chalk them up.
That wraps it up for us here today. Shout out to ESPN's Jay Williams and AEW's John Moxley for spending time today, as well as, of course, Norm Greavy, who's sitting right across from me right now. Tomorrow, Keyshawn Johnson, he'll come on with us, and Max Kellerman. We have those 2 again from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. We'll talk a little Super Bowl, talk a little NFL. Tom Brady announcing his retirement today. That dominated the sports news cycle, but we'll get back into more of a Super Bowl trend. I wish we were talking about the Bengals, and I know that sounds weird, me saying that, but like I said, when the Bengals lost, I lost 2 weeks of content. I actually wish the Bengals would have won this past Sunday, but nonetheless. All right, folks, have a great night. Till tomorrow. It's the Jocelyn Gitter Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.